My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Bobby Roast Beef here, Jigs and Bigs. Another amazing week of fishing podcast content for you. We have such good stuff this week, guys. We got Dave Urke guest hosting with us. This is like a last-minute audible call. He's here. He's going to be talking about some stuff he's got going on. We have an FTG this week that is amazing because I feel like for the first time, the roles are reversed, and I'll explain what I mean about that later. I've done a whole lot of fishy shit this week. Got lots of stuff to talk about. Did a send in the kayak. Got information about that. Joe did a lot of fishy shit as well. So we have lots of fishy stuff to be talking about. Bunch of headlines this week as well, including some very local news in Western Massachusetts where we had a body recovered by an angler. Let's throw that in the catalog, the file folder. Shit Bobby Roast Beef hopes never happens while he's on the water. Go ahead, grab yourself something to enjoy. Grab a crisp, cold Diet Coke or whatever it is that you choose. And we'll see you guys in a bit with more Jigs and Bigs goodness coming up right after this. Ladies, gentlemen, jig heads, how are you guys? Hope everybody's doing good. Hope everybody's having themselves a great-ass time out there. Who the fuck is Joe Brown? Dave Urke, how are you boys? Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Doing awesome.
Yeah. It's been a crazy weekend. You guys can probably hear. Let's just get the pink elephant, out of the room. Bobby's sick. So he sounds like shit. We're just going to move on. Let's just do that.
Fair.
Good with it, yeah.
I will be on this mute button hardcore, hacking and coughing away. But yeah, dude, I've started on Wednesday and I started to get this little bit of post-nasal drip. And I'm like, this is not going to be good. Thursday and Friday, just mega congestion. It's finally started clearing up a little bit, but it's moving south. And I just said, screw it. I had to go fishing this weekend. How about you guys? What's been going on? How are things in your world?
Joe?
Good. Okay, I can go. Things are awesome, man. Did a ton of fishing this week. So I probably won't be able to do any this week because I got some training going on at work for the next week. So I will not have the time. On top of that, my daughter's starting school this week. So
that's right.
Her first day of school's coming Wednesday.
Busy with that. Kindergarten for Emma?
Fucking kindergarten.
Wow, dude, this is a big step. This is a big day.
Yeah.
Wow,
yep.
man.
I'm a little stressed out because we ordered her because it's a private school, so she has school uniforms. Those motherfuckers haven't come in yet.
Oh, dude, yeah.
$50 a shirt.
Yeah. So it's crunch time. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, well, worst case, we'll just send her with a blank one and just is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
my son has something similar.
Yeah. So other than that, man, I'm pumped to talk my week of fishing coming up and or that I just had, and got some funny stories, got some sad stories of not catching much, but we'll get into it.
It's going to be a roller coaster ride. It really, it just is. How have you been, Dave? It's been a hot minute since we've had you on the show. What's been going on?
What hasn't been going on, man? Dude, I'm stoked you let me in here. I was just kind of joking around, let me in. I got all my stuff, but
I was
I appreciate you doing it,
dude. That's perfect. Let's go ahead and pop you on here. I was like, we haven't had a guest co-host in a hot minute, Now we get the best of both worlds because we have a guest co-host and a guest in the beef seat. It's always a good thing,
Oh yeah, perfect. No, and Brad, I love Brad, dude. In fact, I'll tell you a little bit about Brad coming up, but so. My week, I didn't really get to fish because the week prior I did the kayak demo and all that kind of stuff. Took the baby out, the wife, we all got wet. It was fun.
Nice.
I sent you the video. It's going to be funny.
That was awesome.
But this week, but this week I've been grinding real hard at work. And then when I'm off work, I've been doing work on my computer, trying to get, PNG files and all that kind of stuff set up. Cause Brad and Matt over the Catch podcast, they offered me a little slot to kind of run my own show, do my own thing.
That's awesome, dude.
Dude, I'm beyond grateful.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be different, dude, for sure. It's not going to be like your normal thing. I'm definitely trying to gear it more towards like the angler more than the angler's accomplishments. So
exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So it's appropriately titled The Whole Angler. And then every now and then I'll probably have a fun show, bring my buddy Andy on. We'll call it the B-hole angler and bring him on and just let him do his thing. It'll be real fun. Me and Andy, we get together. In fact, that's what's working so hard during the week, this last week and this week, because Friday, me and Andy are going out. We're going to do a whole current water send and have a good time together.
Oh, nice, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is freaking awesome.
His birthday's on the 27th, so it's kind of a gift. His wife got a hold of me. We got him a Garmin 93 SV sonar mapping for his Hobie PA. So we're going to be test driving that come this Friday. It'll be great.
That's fucking awesome, dude. Well, hey, good for him. And happy birthday, Andy.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome, dude. Nice.
Life's been good, dude. Kids are getting big. Wife and me are doing well. So
that's what happens, man.
Can't complain.
Yeah, it's fucking wild, dude. The way kids grow up and school years start, they come and go. And next thing you know, you have like adult children and you're like, who the fuck even are you? It's crazy. I got to tell you, Dave, I love the fact that you're getting in the whole podcast game. I got to get on that show. So you let me know when you're ready. We'll do some talking. Because if there's one thing that Bobby Roast Beef loves doing,
it's talking holes.
So
you don't say less. You don't even have to ask. I already got you on the docket anyways.
I love it. Metal Jones says, happy birthday, Wiener Fingers. I think the sentiment is from all of us as well. Well, actually, Dave, I know you said you have a limited amount of time. Go ahead and tell us that story about Brad Hicks, because this might be a great little way to hook folks to stick around for the interview later on in the show.
Oh, okay. Well, it's more of a Brad and Matt, they allowed me to do the podcast type thing. That was more of the story. Like,
oh, okay, all right.
It was kind of funny because me and Brad and Matt have a chat that we do quite often.
I got that impression.
And yes, yeah. And so it's pretty next level chat. And we found out that we're basically three of the same person separated by a distance, and so being able to step up and kind of work alongside those guys is I'm super grateful to Brad and Matt for letting me do it. So was kind of it was just a thank you appreciation. Brad, that's
awesome.
I don't know how his interview is going to go, but I can tell you he's one of the most genuinely awesome dudes.
Well, it's interesting.
Sure.
I've been looking forward to having these guys on for a while, and I figured I was going to have them both on. And then Brad hit me up in was it last week or the week before? He called and left a message on the voicemail. He's like, Bobby, I want to be on the beef seat. So I was like, fuck it, let's go ahead and do this. So I'm kind of glad that I got him, because it's more of like an angler spotlight. I didn't realize some of this stuff about Brad. Like, I didn't realize the wealth of knowledge he had specifically in the kayak game with the vast amount of different kayaks that he's had out there. And also, we had a little bit of fun. We played a little overrated, underrated Ohio edition. And I only hit him with a couple of things, but I think his feedback is going to be pretty interesting, especially on one of those things. And like, we got to know like his preferences for fishing, like what he thinks overall as far as, river fishing versus like big water, like Erie and things like that. We dive into a lot of good stuff. So stick around for that. That's in our third segment. You're not going to want to miss it. But let's go ahead and talk fishy shit. Why don't we talk fishy shit?
I'm down.
What do you have, Dave? You have anything you want to throw in? I know you said you don't have a whole lot going on, but you have any fishy shit you want to throw in?
Lately, my fishing is okay. I got a heartbreaking story real quick. There's been a local pond that I've been able to fish for, 4 years straight. Ever since I started fishing, I've been able to go down there, catch a bunch of tanks, have a good time. It's just a little honey hole that I would take the buddies or my son, and we would go catch some good fish. There's one property adjacent to this entire pond, and they don't own the whole property, but this guy has decided that he has hired private security to keep people from fishing the pond. So when you go down there to fish the pond, private security comes and requests that you leave. Now, the only reason it's a problem is because the rest of the pond has been fenced off in the last 6 months. So the only place to go fish is right near his property line. It's not crossing his property line, but the private security doesn't care, and they will remove you armed. So that was not a very fun. Yeah, that wasn't a very fun adventure I had the other day.
Wow.
So that's my sad fishy stuff. Yeah, it's really fun. I don't know. I was going to do a whole FTG, but I didn't videotape the security, removing me. So, but I told them they'd see me again. So chances are I'll get it on video for you and we'll have a good time. But the good fishing stuff.
Yep.
I get to take my daughter on walks, dude. I get to take my daughter on walks a couple times a week. We go in the stroller and I live right next to a creek. So part of the walk is putting her to sleep. So I walk her to a nice little quiet shaded point and then I just fish until she falls asleep. And she loves it because I'll catch a fish, she'll play with it, she'll hold it and then put it back in the water.
Yep.
20 minutes later, dead asleep. So
that's
my fishing has been BFS only. And it's been pretty fun. Bunch of little small spotted bass. It's been a great,
dude. That's
great.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
nice.
That's my fishing.
That's not too bad at all. Actually, one of our jig heads just popped some fishy shit in here. And this is kind of funny. Slower, lower fishing chimes in and goes, went bass fishing a lake yesterday. I skunked my 11-year-old, caught 2 catfish, 6 crappie, and a dozen bluegills. I'm switching to worms, he says. That sounds like my dad. Like my dad. Yeah. My dad refuses to not take the night crawlers out. And this week we didn't go out and fish either. He's been up in Maine this weekend on vacation, so we didn't get out this week. Joe, what do you got for fishy shit?
Oh man, I had a busy week on the boat this past week. Took a little time off, made sure I got out a bunch of times. There
you go.
Oh man, so I went out this past Monday. I went out to a local spot, the place close to me. So a big thing I've been trying to do is really fishing because, this time of year in the summer, you're going to have your fish shallow, you're going to have your fish deep. I've been trying to, instead of just moseying around and beating the bank, I've been trying to really find that deep structure and try to get onto the deeper fish. And it's been very fruitful for me, the last month or so.
Yep.
So I kind of went to this spot knowing that there's some stumps and humps and, all that, some wood and brush. And so, dude, I just went there and grabbed a couple nice ones out of there. Grabbed a 3-pound I'd say right around 3-pound smallie out of this body of water that I was shocked to see it come out of. And it just had gorgeous colors to it, great color pattern, because the smallies that usually come out of here, they're a little small. They're not smaller, but they're just their patterns are just kind of bland. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just to see this thing come out of him, it had the awesome eye markings and everything, and I was I was pumped to get a picture. I grabbed it on a shaky head with a smaller shaky head with a robo worm finesse worm.
Yep.
Straight finesse worm. And I get the hook out and this thing's going ape shit in my hand. Where I'm just holding on for the ride as he's, whipping around. And dude, he got right out of my as I was not looking, putting something down, he whipped out of my hand, bounced off the deck and into the water. So I didn't get to get a photo, unfortunately. But I caught him. I caught that was the only smallie I caught that day, and then I caught some a few nice largemouth. They're chomping down there. I mean, they're healthy. They're fat. It was good. I had a good time fishing there. Went there for a few hours. First time I put my boat in there, because that boat ramp's kind of wonky. So I had issues with I had some issues with my skeeter on occasion where the bow wanted to go under the roller, and it was just a pain in the ass to get it up above.
Yep.
I didn't have issues with that with the Icon, thank God, because I was just fuck it, I'm gonna give it a try. And but knowing hey Meg, you might have to run down here and back the truck up as I'm trying to fuck with this thing. But yeah, so I went there. Tuesday, Wednesday worked. Thursday worked, and then I brought my boat to work and I hit Congamon after work. And so I hit Congamon out by you, Bobby, or Western Mass. I hit that after work. Yeah, I went there right until dark. Didn't do great. I had like thunderstorms skirting me the whole time, to the point where like the lightning on the outside, I could start to hear my rod start to crackle a little bit. I was like, all right, I was like, we're gonna put this down for a little bit, and I'm just gonna map out for a bit, or map the place. But yeah, I mean, I got here and there, but just like not the quality I've seen people catch in there.
Yeah.
And then pulling out, I saw actually Mario from Thayer's Marine, who actually did a lot of the work on my boat.
Oh, no shit.
So we got to talking for a bunch. He's from out that area. So that was like it. I found them up shallow, kind of. I just couldn't find. There were so many like humps and shit there. I just could not find them deep. There was a lot that looked like they were on bait. Yep. And like after the fact, I'm like, fuck, I should have threw a Demiki. I didn't throw a Demiki rig. I should have. It was like kind of a hindsight was 2020 type thing. And then Friday went back out. I went to so turn and burn. Got up Friday morning, went back out. Went to Quabog out by me, and this is a good one. It was, I always do pretty good when I go there. I didn't catch anything crazy. That's where my PB came from this year. But I was fishing the same. So I have been, you've been to Oakham, right, Bobby?
Oh yeah, I've been to Oakham.
Yeah, so you have so there's a brewery right there, and they actually do weddings, and they have a spot right on the water where they do the ceremony or whatever, and but right there is also a fish. There's a fish in there that him and I have been going at it all season. I have yet to hook him. It's always with a frog because of where it is.
Oh yeah.
And he is just, I know it's a good fish. He has just eluded me. He's blew up my frog probably 4 times, all in the same spot. And I just have not been able to hook set him yet. And, so I was like, today's the day. Like, I'm getting you, motherfucker.
Yep.
And so I go into that spot, dude. And as I do it, there's a wedding going on.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Not only is it a wedding, it's an Indian wedding.
Oh, yeah.
So,
okay.
But here's the crazy, it was like fucking 9 a.m. dude. And they're having on a Friday, dude, they're having their wedding.
That's how the Indian weddings are. They're like 12 hours long. Yeah.
So I go there and, I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm still so, dude. They're doing their wedding, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like 40 yards away from them, just fishing, and to the point where they done the ceremony. Now it's like a bunch of the pictures, which I will say there was a lot of like their outfits and stuff were like some cool fucking colors, like super bright. Yeah, it was actually cool looking, but it got to the point where there was like a line of like 10 of them. And you could see where the photographer was actually like, "Hey, we got to shift left," because I knew it was because I was in the frame.
Yep, exactly.
I wasn't like, I'm like, oh no. I was like, this fucking fish I've been trying to get is way more important than your wedding to me.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but it was so. The moral of the story is, he didn't hit my bait once. I don't know if someone finally fucking caught him. He hasn't made his way back there, but no. So I fucked up their photos for nothing. So I kind of feel bad, but yeah. So
don't feel bad at all. No.
You made the moment memorable. In fact,
you should be so proud that moment has been like set in stone in time. That's
yep. It was funny. I think I was actually on TikTok live for it too, and I'm saying it. I'm like, there's a wedding going on. I was like, they're like moving all their pictures for me and everything, like just because I'm in the bed with my. I had like my bright lime green Urke sun shirt on.
Yep.
Like it was just like they're probably like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Dude?
But it's like, I mean, and I hate to say this, is like a guy that works in the wedding industry.
Yeah,
you choose to have a lakeside wedding ceremony, buckle up. Like that's what you get, Right. What are you going to go out there and go like, can you guys not use this public body of water? Like that's what you get, man,
Nope. And it was funny because so I went out, I met my wife and I met, or Meg and I met my sister and her her fiance out there later on that evening, and that fucking thing was still going on.
Oh yeah,
that wedding was still going on.
I mean, I'm serious. So the last Indian wedding that I had worked, they did a part of it in India, right, with the groom's family, and that was like the super traditional, like crazy.
Yeah.
And then the other part of it, they had a separate reception with no ceremony in Western Massachusetts because the bride is from Holyoke, like she's from right over here. And she's like, yeah, so we kind of want to have like, you know, for my family that's not going to travel to India to do this. You know, some of them did, but some of them wouldn't. And they're like, we want to have a reception so we can have everybody here. And it was a banger of a party. They're like, so we're going to try to, and I was just hearing about like the whole thing is like 12 hours.
Yeah,
it's constant.
It was fucking
food.
Gnarly.
Yeah, it's constant food. Like, and it's amazing. I love Indian food, so I'm like, bring it on.
I mean, I like it. My intestines do not, so I don't touch it.
There is an Indian.
My intestines in my bathroom do not like it.
There is an Indian appetizer called Chicken 65, which is one of my favorite things on this earth.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's out of this world. And like it is super spicy, and sometimes that's not a good thing for folks' intestines. I get that. It's all good.
But
yeah, dude, that's wild, man. That's a crazy day of fishing.
Yeah, so that was a fun day. And then so we went out, we drank, you know, we tied one on a little bit with my sister and her fiance. And the next morning, we slept in, you know, we didn't. Oh, and my kids were with my dad camping all week.
Dude, that's
so yeah. So since like I think they picked them up Wednesday, so we had no kids. So we get up, and I go, "Hey, babe, what do you want to do today?" She's like, I don't know. Like it's nice, so I'm up for something. I was like, "Let's go on the boat." So
there you go.
So I was like, "Yeah." So what she was like, "All right," you know, and because she like Meg's likes going out, and Meg likes fishing. She just doesn't like doing it for like 8 hours like we do, like 8+ hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you know she usually just lays on the back deck most of the time, but yeah. So it's funny. So we went to Lash, the place close to me again, mostly because I knew if I brought her to lunch at 308 right there in the water. Yeah, I knew that would help. Yeah. So. Dude, so I go on there, and now that I didn't have the both times that she had been on the boat prior, I'd had Emma with me, so I take it easy, whatever. This time, I'm like, all right, Meg, I'm gonna show you like what this boat can really do. She's like, no, you're not. She's like, I don't fucking care what the boat can do. Like, I don't care. Like, it's a fucking boat. Go slow. I'm just trying to chill. I was like, wait till you see how fast this thing turns at full speed. She was so, because those fucking icons turn on a goddamn dime, dude. It's fucking gnarly. They just eat the water, and you just do. It's like when you see like the F-22s, dude, like do that fucking turn. That's like what the icon does in the water without like.
My question, Joe, is this: how large is the bruise on your left knee? Because I'm sure she was like, Joe.
No. So the good part, Bobby, is the fucking inside of that thing is so big that she couldn't even reach me.
Can't reach, so you're safe. Wow, dude.
He's just got scratches on the edge of his arm where she's clawing at him.
And yeah, she was so mad, but then she was like,
that's beautiful.
She's like, that's pretty impressive. She's like, you better not fucking do it again. Exactly. I was like, all right, that's fair. That's fair.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But yeah, so I went out there, did some fit. It was more like, you know, we brought drinks and stuff. We chilled. I mean, we went out there late, so I was like in the heat of the day. So I, you know, I got onto a couple. I beat the bank that day. I kind of, because there's a lot of like, there's some wreck boats going on, and I didn't feel like fucking having one of those dipshits not see me and then fucking smoke me. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Because they're looking back at their tuber or whatever. So I mostly beat the bank, but I grabbed a couple nice ones. Nice smallie, a couple nice largemouth. We went and I docked the boat. We went and had lunch at 308 there, which was awesome, and a drink. And then we wrapped it up because we had where did we have to go? We had to go. We went to go see the kids at the campground. They asked us to go there. Yeah. So we went there, but as I'm like, so Ryan Bogley was going to the same body of water. He called me. He's like, hey, dude. He's like, where do you think I should go between these two bodies of water? I was like, I was like, it's kind of like both of them are good, whatever. So
Yeah.
he goes to this body of water, the same one I was on, and he fucking texts me, and he's like, dude, you're not gonna believe. So this lake has a slalom course for skiing where they have like the little buoys and like they're like,
dude,
you know,
yeah.
they're like anchored to the bottom or whatever.
Yep.
He's like, dude, there was a pontoon boat just full of chicks in bikinis, and whether they were like drunk, hot, whatever.
Yep.
They just went through the slalom course and wrapped all the buoys up in their fucking prop.
no.
Yeah, he's like, dude, I never see. He's like, dude, I never seen anything like it. I was like, you're talking like I was like, dude, they had to have been, because like the place it is like, it's like out of the way. You know what I mean? Like you got to be being an idiot if you like go out of your way to hit it. They actually put it in like a really good spot for people not to fuck with it. And yeah, dude, he's texting me about it. He's dying, and I was like, fuck. I was like, oh, that was him in his fucking bikini.
That's what it was.
Yeah. But yeah,
Alex in his Borat bikini.
Yeah. I keep telling
Very
Megan.
nice.
Yeah.
Big old pack of Marlboros and a man string bikini just out there.
Yeah. So,
Oh, fuck.
yeah. So, yeah, dude, he was texting me that he was dying. I was like, holy fuck, dude. I was like, so I can't wait to go back there and like see if they fixed it or whatever. Cause it's like, you know, it's later in the season. So they'll probably just be like, whatever. But, it probably absolutely destroyed their fucking lower end. You know?
I'm sure.
Because he's like, he told me he's
they
like,
fucked up his boat.
Yeah, either dad or hubby. You know what I mean? And
True.
No, that's Sugar Daddy's boat. It's a pontoon.
yeah. So, but I mean, he said, he's like, you could tell they like did not know a goddamn thing about a boat. So my guess is like they're like, oh god, we're stuck, and then just throttled it out and just like fucked up all kinds of shit.
Thinking they could power themselves right out of whatever. Yeah. That's a rookie mistake. Been there.
Yep. So yeah. So after that, you know, we went to the campground with the kids, you know, and had a good time there. And today, I really had no plan to go out because I was actually going to do like some adulting stuff around the yard that I've been like really putting off. And then it rained all day, so I didn't even get to do that.
Good old Saint Nick chimes in. He goes, destroyed that lower end worse than Joe's Indian food.
Oh, that'd probably be a close one, dude. That'd be a close one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's hot boy summer.
It is hot boy
Nice.
summer. Dude.
So yeah, that's my fishy week, man. Let's hear about yours.
That ain't bad. That ain't bad at all. My fishy week was kind of interesting. So I had some plans. I kind of wanted to take the kayak out, to be perfectly honest. Like I just had the bug to take the kayak out. So I had gone out, you know, did all my editing and stuff on Monday rather. And Tuesday I had plans to take out the yak, and I haven't been by that local pond that I hit regularly, the one that's closest to where I'm based, in forever. And you know, I've launched the boat there once. That was the last time I was there, and it's just not worth it. You know what I mean? It's too small. Loading the boat back up sucks because of where the position is. There's one big point and everything. It's not ideal. So I launched the yak, and you know, conditions were looking pretty rough. It was pretty calm out when I was there. Bright sunny skies with minimal wind. But I'm like, we'll have some fun. And I made a mistake. I forgot my net. Because I don't have like a full set of gear for the boat and a full set of gear for my kayak. Like, I'm figuring out what needs to be what. Like, and it was just a stupid oversight on my end. I forgot the net. So I was like, all right, any fish that I catch, like managing them and measuring them is going to be more of a pain in the ass without the net as a place to just put them while I situate and get ready for, you know, taking photos and stuff. So I said, fuck it. I'm not even going to worry about it. Wouldn't you know, I hooked into like a 12 or 13 inch yellow perch, massive, right on, I think it was a finesse swim bait, actually. A little 3-inch plastic. I ordered a bunch of 2 and 3 inch plastics from Omnia just to try out some new stuff. And, you know, so I caught a decent one. And some other folks, lots of folks bank fishing while I was out there. Talked to a couple of people. Excuse me, I'm hacking up a lung over here. But talked to a couple of people, and what we were, I was asking them how it was going. They're like, yeah, it's been brutal, absolutely brutal, not a single bite. This one guy had caught a small bass on this point that they were fishing, and that was it. I go on and I fish a bunch, and I am on my way back toward the ramp, and I hit up this line of trees that have overhanging branches over the water, and I'm flipping a jig up in there. And I caught a nice size, like a 16-inch largemouth. And I was right across from this group of people that was fishing, and I'm standing up on the kayak, and I'm like, so this gives me a little bit of hope. I'm like, they're in here, and they're like, shit. They're like, well, we're going to keep at it. I don't know how they made out, but they made out, you know. Then what do we do? Wednesday, I took the Lund up to the Berkshires and try and check off some boxes for the scavenger hunt. I then I went over to this one spot with all of my stuff, made sure I had all the tools needed, went out there, identifier on hand, ready to go, you know, everything all prepared. And I managed to hook into 4 different species up there that I needed.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. A 10-inch rock bass. And I caught probably like a dozen rock bass all day. The biggest, the first one was the biggest one. The rest of them were just, I catch them and just let them go immediately, to the point where they were almost a nuisance. And I caught that on a white bladed jig, which I ultimately lost later the weekend. One of those $15 dare breaks from Jackal. Yeah. So I lost that. I decided, I was like, you know, I still, for the scavenger hunt, I still need a bluegill. You know, I still need some kind of a sunfish. So I downsized a little bit, and I'm out of 2-inch easy shiners. I can't find them in the color that I'm looking for. So I happen to have a box. Joe, you remember Art, Fish Daddy 401, right? We've had him on the show.
Yes, I do.
A couple of times now.
Yep.
Well, a while ago, Art had sent me a box. He does these plastics like samplers. It's like a 3,600 size box with a variety of different plastics in there, different swim baits and worms and grubs and all kinds of stuff, craws. And in there, he's got these 2-inch swim baits. And I'll be damned, dude. They are a great substitute. So I'm actually going to put in a custom order with Art to just get a box of just these swim baits in a variety of specific colors. So I've got just a bulk amount of them, because the tails are so fragile and delicate that like bluegill will just tear them right off. And, you know, if they're really dialed with that action, you got to replace them. You know what I mean? So yeah. I had a good experience that day. I ended up hooking into a black crappie, which was totally unexpected. Knowing that they were there, I figured I was going to hook into a bluegill. Didn't catch a bluegill at all. I then hooked into a yellow perch. Finally, one that hit the 8-inch mark. 8 inches on the nose. And then I hooked into a 19-inch chain pickerel, switching to a big Joshy and fishing like a 20-foot hole. The hole angler, I guess you could call me. So this was a situation where I had upsized the jig head a little bit. I was casting out far, letting it drop all the way down, then just kind of like hopping it along the bottom, letting it hit the bottom again. Hooked into this pickerel, and I was like, 4 is great. I'm going to take it. So I left that day. Tuesday, I'm feeling great. Everything is going wonderful. Wednesday, I'm sorry, that was Wednesday. Wednesday night, that's when this cold started to like kick in. And I'm like, you motherfuckers. Thursday and Friday, I didn't get out at all. But Saturday, I wanted to go back. Now, last week I talked about fishing a body of water that a local had tipped me off on that I never knew about, this reservoir where there's lots of rocks and lots of like submerged timber and root balls, all kinds of cover that I love. Like, I know that fish will hold tight to this. And I especially thought, instead of losing a bunch of jigs, if the conditions were right and they were chasing, this could be an amazing body of water to throw a variety of different moving baits. And so my buddy Paul and I made plans to go and fish. I was like, what are you doing Saturday? Now, I had an interview with one of my wedding clients in the afternoon. So I was like, I don't have a full day. We could do it like 5 or 6 hours. So we got there at like just before 6 a.m. I wanted to get there for sunrise. We had clouds overhead, and we had a little wind. When we got on the water, the wind was a little bit more significant than I had anticipated. But I'm like, I still want to start with some top water. We'll see what we go with. Now, here's where it gets interesting. So I'm going to dive into this a little bit in depth because there is no YouTube video for the behind the scenes or anything for this trip. There is for the scavenger hunt on Wednesday. Which, by the way, I should mention on Wednesday, I fixed the drone. We got drone shots back. Your boy is an idiot. He was skipping an entire step and trying to link with the remote to get things to work and function the right way. So I shot a bunch of footage overhead, and everything looks great. And I'm actually going to take a day and get a whole bunch of footage and try out some different features where it can just kind of track me. And you know, I got some really good B-roll on that Wednesday trip. It was really, really good. So I was going to, you know, put a video together and stuff, but I'm like, it was too windy. I didn't want to fuck with the drone. It was that windy. So I'm like, all right, let's go ahead. We'll send it. So I'm thinking with all these conditions, it's telling me bone colored walking bait, right? Clouds. We got some wind, a little chop on the water. So I'm throwing parallel to this rock bank here, and there's a drop off, a significant drop off, probably about like 15 to 20 feet off of the bank. And it just drops and it goes deep. And there's all these like root balls and submerged wood down there. So I'm throwing this around here, and Paul says to me, he's like, I'm throwing topwater. I'm like, well, of course, it's sunrise, man. I'm like, this is if it's gonna happen, this is when the likelihood is highest it's gonna happen, you know?
Yeah.
And I forget what he started throwing initially. He then puts on a topwater as well. In fact, it was the prop bait that came in the topwater box in the Dark Horse Tackle topwater box in, what was it, last month or the month previous? This was one of these situations where like he had lost a whopper plopper. And I was like, bro, I'm like, you want to throw a plopper? Yes, exactly. That's the one.
Yeah.
Different color, but that's the bait. So he goes and he says, this time he loses a plopper. I was like, hey man, I go, grab my topwater rod. I was like, there's a prop bait on there that you got to try. And he's like, well, do you mind if I cut it off and I just put it on my setup? I was like, go for it. And I was like, in fact, keep it on there because I think it's going to pay off. Holy fuck, it paid off on Saturday. So he is like probably 4 casts in right now, and he gets blown up on with the biggest smallmouth of the day. First fish. I tell him, dude, every single decent fish that we catch today, we are popping these in the box because I want to take that cheesy photo with you that we never got. That was like, you know, we didn't get impressive fish when we fished in Tennessee. You know what I mean? When we fished Chickamauga, it was like we caught bass. You know what I mean? But we didn't get that really like 4 or 5 fish holding them up like picture. I was like, we're fishing one area of this lake. I'm like, we're gonna release them all right in the same spot. You know, later. But I'm like, it's not hot. We got cloud cover, and I'm running the aerator all day. I'm like, we'll box them. We'll go ahead and we'll set this up. First one I'm feeling really good. I was like, okay, so topwater it is. Let's go ahead and do it. I don't get a bite. I'm like, maybe I cut off the Zara spook and I put on the spook from that topwater box from Dark Horse.
The Cornerstone one, yeah.
The Cornerstone one, yes, because it's loud. It's really loud. So I'm like, okay, maybe this sucker will maybe get some attention. Well, that doesn't work either. So I'm like, all right, Paul, just keep on it. Let's see if that's a pattern. That's one fish you caught on that bait. Let's see if it's a pattern. He gets maybe 3 more casts and then starts throwing a chatterbait. I'm like, okay, so we don't know if it's a pattern. We're going to go ahead. And again, I'm sticking with the spook. Yeah. He gets bit on a white and chartreuse chatterbait, right? Puts the second fish in the boat. I'm like, holy shit, not as big as the first, but puts the second one in. I'm like, awesome, great. I was like, maybe it's a bladed jig thing. I go, so now I'm going to shift gears. We'll see what we can come up with. Now I'm throwing more of like a perch color, a lot of green pumpkin, some chartreuse, with what was I throwing as a trailer? It was a freeloader, green pumpkin, black and blue. On the freeloader.
Oh, yeah.
Love
like
that freeloader.
color.
That one and Sungill are like my favorite too, but there's a bunch of others that are great. So I'm not getting bit. And I'm like, what? Again, this is Paul. I go, what's the speed reel you're using on that? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. I'm like, because I'm thinking at this point it's got to be cadence, you know? Because I even cut my bladed jig off and replaced it with a white a chatterbait elite that I had with a white trailer and some chartreuse. And I'm like, maybe this will do it. I was like, because I'm using a much slower combo. I'm using a 6-speed, and I thought he was using an 8-speed reel. And it turns out he was using, when we looked at it, it was like a 7.5. And he's like, yeah, this is the one that you suggested I use for my frog rod. And I was like, why isn't it on your frog rod? You know, I'm like,
started with 65-pound braid.
Yeah. and so I don't know what he's got on there. So it's a little crazy. He's fishing. He gets he cuts off the chatterbait, ties on a white spinnerbait. Okay, again, like we don't know that this is a pattern yet. You know.
Yeah.
So he ties on a spinnerbait, and I'm like, all right, we'll see. He gets a couple of bites. He didn't get another fish in the boat, but he was getting bit. I was not getting bit. I couldn't believe this. We fast forward a couple hours down the way, and we fish the rest of this bank. We get into this little cove where it comes up to this little shallow flat, but a nice drop-off in between the sides. It drops off really nice. And I'm getting bit now, and there's some pretty good rocks that are down there. We didn't have like the root balls or the wood that was down there, but still had a lot of rocks. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw a jig around here. We'll see if it comes up. So I'm throwing this around, and actually, let me take that back. It wasn't even the jig. I had switched over to my BFS combo and started throwing around a finesse swim bait. Small Kitech on a Jig Masters perfected ball head jig. 1/8 ounce, so I could get it down there reasonably fast. This wasn't super deep water, but it was still about like 15 feet or so. I'm flipping up shallow and I'm dragging it down there, and then I go deep with it, and I let it just hit the bottom. And I'm just dragging it along the bottom, hopping along. I feel like a rock. I'm moving over that, and then it gets hammered, dude. It gets fucking hammered so hard. BFS, 10-pound braid to 4-pound fluorocarbon leader. I'm like, motherfucker. I was like, bro, hand me that net. Because after Paul's last netman situation, I'm like, hand me the net, please.
Yeah.
So I managed to catch a 14-inch channel catfish on the bottom.
Ooh!
Which is interesting because I talked with Brad Hicks about that because he's known for catching catfish as bycatch on artificial lures all the time.
Trash fish king.
I'm not that guy. You know what I mean? I like one a year maybe. Like the last time I caught was like a bullhead on like Ned rig. Up by some pads, randomly, some isolated pads. I just casted to the side of. But no, this one, I was like, holy shit. I'm like, well, dude, I got my identifier. I'm like, that's a point. I will take it. So entered that fish in.
Hell yeah.
We fished for about another 2 hours, and he's like, you know, man, he's like, we haven't had a bite in a while. He's like, let's go and grab some food. I was like, all right, sounds like a plan, dude. Let's do that. So we go and we launch. We see some fuckery at the ramp. This dude bringing some like giant center console. And like, here's the thing. I don't know if this is all Army Corps of Engineers ramps, but this one here is like the other Army Corps of Engineer ramp that I've got experience with, where it's a long ramp down, but off to the side, there's like a little, it looks almost like a bong if you were in an airplane looking down, where it just, hang on, I can show you better like this. So like it's got this little parking spot right there. I know. Don't fucking at me. I have to clean my bong. I haven't used it in forever. It's fucking disgusting. But anyway, it's like, so, you know, I pull straight down. I turn into that section, then I back down. It's a nice smooth motion. I see people backing down the entire length of this ramp, and it's fucking hilarious. So there's a guy coming down with like some kind of like a Ford Edge with like a 19-foot fucking fiberglass center console. And this thing is just like, like it's ridiculous. It's just fuckery, and there's no other way to describe it. So we go and we get off the water, and I'm like, this is cool. So I got this fish here, and I had plans to go out today with Joe and Bobby Mazzaferro, right? The Bearded Angler and Maz Family Fishing on Instagram, respectively. Bobby just turned 13, and one of the things he wanted to do was go fishing on a boat. And so this is kind of nuts. First off, Joe is awesome. I love fishing with Joe. Joe's got a great kid. Bobby's awesome. Great kid. So I'm looking at the weather today, and I see that we've got a lot of clouds. We've got some rain that's going to come in, but it's actually supposed to let up. And this is like, I got the worst night's sleep last night. I got home from fishing with Paul, and it was like 1 o'clock. I had a sandwich, and then I took a nap for like 4 hours. I got up, and I interviewed Brad. And then I, had dinner with the family and hung out. And I made sure to take like some extra, sleepy time medicine. And I was up until I saw 2:15. My alarm went off at 4:30. So I got maybe 2 hours of sleep, if that. Like, it was ridiculous how late it was.
Oh.
Yeah. So I woke up this morning. I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to go ahead and get everything together. We'll go ahead. We'll send it. I get to the water, and there was there's one thing that I left out on Wednesday. I think I'm going to throw it in an FTG, though. I think it's a better fit there. So I go on, and I'm doing my thing, and I get to the launch, and I load the boat. They roll up. First words out of Bobby's mouth. So is this going to tip over? No, Bobby, it's going to be all right. It's not going to tip over. Don't worry, Bob. It's going to be good. He's like, all right, cool. He gets in, and it boats move. Like when they're on water, like, you know what I mean? Like they're going to rock a little bit, something like that. He's like, oh my God, I don't like boats. And immediately I look at Joe and I'm like,
the fuck are you doing to this poor kid, man?
Joe's been on this boat with me. He knows that this 16-foot aluminum boat is very stable, but like it moves, like any boat. I mean, Joe, you get on your boat from a dock and you feel it, right? Mm-hmm. It moves under your feet. Yeah, absolutely.
It's any boat's unless it's a fucking cruise ship, dude.
That's exactly it. Yeah, it's got to be something like that. Any boat, you're going to feel that move. So I'm like, okay, no sweat. I'm like, we'll see how this goes. So they get situated. We get loaded up. Everything's cool. And Joe was like, in 10 minutes, he's going to be fine. He couldn't have been more right. Like, I was like, so here's what we're going to do, Bobby. I go, we're just going to take a ride to start out. And we're going to look for some fishy shit. And I'm looking at the map because, again, I still don't have electronics. I'm only using a topo map. And I'm looking for edges. And I'm like, you know what? I haven't fished this one point right here. So we get up to this one spot. I'm like, this looks juicy. Again, I'm like taking advantage of that first light kind of shit. I'm like, let's throw some top water. I get a strike, like second cast. I'm like, okay, found fish. Found fish. Let's keep at it, right? So I get us closer in that area, and I'm like, we know that there's fish in here. There's weeds, there's overhanging trees, and there's this nice ledge. I'm like, we have, there's a little bit of a recipe here. This could pay off. So we're all kind of like casting in this one area, working together, and it works so smooth. Even that little boat, 3 anglers on there, all throwing lures. Myself throwing a spook with 3 trebles. Nobody got any hooks anywhere. Like, it was excellent. It was fantastic. I'm not getting bit on top water again, so I'm like, you know what? I got a little job to do with some BFS for this multi-species stuff. So I decide to start throwing a finesse swim bait that I had good luck with earlier. And I start throwing this around. Second cast, I hook into the first fish. I was like, beautiful. It was a largemouth. I don't need a largemouth for the tournament. And this wasn't going to beat that largemouth. So I'm like, all right, let's go ahead. Well, same thing. I was like, let's get a picture of Bobby with a bunch of fish and like all of us like together. It'll be great. And so we put it in the box. And I think that might be the kiss of death, because once that happened, like Bobby had a couple of bites that were missed. I got a couple of bites where one of them just shook. It was right at the boat and then shook right off. In fact, I don't even think it was a bass. I think it might have been a white perch, which I could have used. And so that one hurt a little bit. The problem was that the rain kicked up significantly, and the temp, it was only like 62, 64. I think it was like 64 when we got off the water. The problem is nobody had any rain gear. We weren't ready for this, So we're getting dumped on, and now like there's a little bit of wind and it's freezing. I'm like fucking like, do you guys need anything engraved? Because my nipples could cut glass. It's just the way it is. It was absolutely ridiculous. So I said, and I knew Bobby was disappointed. I was like, listen, I'm going to take a look at the radar and see what we're dealing with. And the storm was kind of moving through Connecticut our direction. and there was a big pocket of rain that was going to come over, and it looked like now we were going to get rain most of the day. And I'm like, it looks like we're going to get a little bit of a break here, so let's tough it out now, and then if this next pocket comes along, we'll call it. And he was disappointed, but I was like, and we'll reschedule. Don't worry. And I'm like, and maybe we won't do this body of water because we went to Congamond. I was like, maybe we'll do the Cape next time, or maybe we'll do the Berkshires or something. Like once I said Cape Cod, he was like, oh, really? Okay. So, and yeah, the rain is still coming. And Michael asked, he's like, oh, no Bimini on the Lund? I took the Bimini off. It's in my backyard. There is only one person that loves the Bimini, and that is Becca. Fishing with two people and the Bimini top sucks. Fishing with one person in the Bimini is ideal, especially like with a dog or something, or a wife that's not looking to fish. Fishing with with three anglers, no way. It'd be awful. Yeah. There's too much stuff impeding your ability to cast, and it would just be bad news. So, no Bimini, no Bimini whatsoever. So we fished South Pond, and then when the rain really started to pick up again, we took off. Initially, I was like, we get out of the water. I'm like, they're like, yeah, we're going to go grab breakfast or something. You want to come along? And I was like, I don't know. I might just head home and go back to bed. Because, again, like an hour and a half, 2 hours of sleep. I'm like, this might have been nice. And we decided, we got back to the water. The rain had held off to about like 10 or so. And we loaded up the boat and headed out to grab some breakfast at a local spot, Partners. We talked about Partners on the show before. A fantastic breakfast. We had a good time. Great conversation. Like, I love hanging out with the Maz boys. They're great. We're going to go out and fish again. We did release that fish on our way back to the launch. And we have more to work on. But man, it was a great time. If the rain had let up, and like it's still dumping out here now,
Yep.
Not supposed
Same
to be.
here.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And it wasn't supposed to, which pisses me off. It was supposed to be like
off and on, right? Like on earlier, then off for like a good chunk of the day, and then later tonight it was supposed to kind of get started. But I'm kind of
is that.
Yeah.
I was going to say, is that a normal late summer for you guys? Is the rain kind of comes and goes? Or because I always think California has the screwiest weather ever. So that's why I was like,
So, the thing is with summer in the Northeast is it's rain. You get rain at least once or twice a week, minimum, at least. Lots of thunderstorms. It's not weird to get these pop-up storms. It's worse in the higher elevation, like in the Berkshires. You get them, they'll just pop up out of nowhere.
Yep.
Got it. So it can be a little bit dicey, but like, I have to make that. That's one thing I need to put as an investment is some rain gear to keep on the boat. It would be a good idea. At least like a good jacket. Like I have this jacket from Aftco. It's a Reaper jacket, and it's great for light rain. It's not great for heavy rain. Eventually, it's going to penetrate through. It's got waterproof zippers and stuff like that, and all that stuff. And for a light rain, it's not too bad. But if it's anything kind of heavy, like that's what I need to invest in is stuff for like heavy rain. But
also you got the Lund now, so even if it is a heavy rain, you can throw that thing on and be good. Book it back, you'll be fine. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I do have a question because you said it and like it really sparked something in my brain. I don't know. Are you guys still as excited to go fishing anytime you get to go fishing as I am? Because I mean, when you say lack of sleep, bro. I will literally be setting up and rigging the night before and still contemplating. Like I go to lay down and I'm like, I can't even sleep because I'm going to go out for the next 5 hours. It's going to be great, and I get 2 hours of sleep and I'm out in the water, like just struggling for the first couple, It
never gets old. It never gets old. Yeah. It's I still like because that's the thing. I 100% could have sent the text at 4:30 in the morning and been like, nope, not happening, guys. But I was there because I was still just as stoked to get on the water and I wanted to have Bobby get this experience. As much as he wanted to have the experience on the boat. But I'll tell you what, dude, when they rolled in and he stepped on the boat, he was like, I don't like boats. I was like, Joe, what the fuck? I'm like, what are we gonna do?
Dude.
But he was
figure it out.
Joe couldn't have been more right. He's like, give him 10 minutes, watch. And he was fine. Like, it's weird. Like, okay, so like my dad at his age, right? He's got bad knees, bad joints. So like he likes to stay in the lower section of the boat anyway. He's not running up to like the top, the casting deck on either the front or rear of the boat. Now I don't even think about it. Like I just jump right down and I'm like, okay, cool. I go up to the back, especially having the remote for the trolling motor. Like I'll fish from the back deck and reposition the bout from the back.
That's so good.
It's nice, when I'm fishing by myself, that's how it is. A lot of folks, but like Paul's been on with me now like 3 or 4 times, and he still will not get out of that lower section. Although I take that back, he made a huge step forward. He took a leak off the side of the boat, and you have to do that from the casting deck.
Yep.
100%. Or you've got to be John fucking Holmes. Like one or the other. That's your fucking choice in life. And he was up on the casting deck. There was a part of me, I was just like, do I hit the trolling motor on 10? Just to and I'm like, no. I'm like, I want to make sure the guy gets in the boat. I'm like,
that'd be fucked up.
But he did catch a bunch of fucking fish. So he was like, the fact that he did that, I was like, I'm telling you, dude, it's not like you really do. Like when people say, like, don't worry, you'll get your sea legs. You definitely do. It just takes a while for some folks.
Yeah.
And I think with Bobby, he's going to be running back and forth between both casting decks in no time at all.
Yeah,
no time
that
whatsoever.
kid's gonna fly like a spider monkey just up and down that boat. Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It is. It's freaking awesome. I love it. It's a good setup. So, yeah, it was a good week as far as fishy shit for me. I love. Oh, the reason why I don't think I'm going to be in a kayak for the rest of the year is get this.
Oh yes.
As your boy was coming back with the kayak on Tuesday, so in my backyard, I did a short on YouTube kind of showing like all the toys in the backyard, like how freaking ridiculous it is back there. It's like I moved in, it's become my rompus room. So I go and I have my old trailer and the Ascend off in one corner, right? Mm-hmm. I have my utility trailer with my kayak on it right next to it, and I back that right in place. And at the back end of my yard, I have this incline that goes up to the neighbor's yard because their backyard is a hill that goes right down. Mm-hmm. And I backed a little bit too far up, and the rudder got caught on the land, and it bent the rudder. Now, I've bent this rudder before, and I've bent it back. I'm going to take it off and redo it and do it all over again and everything and try and fix it. If not, I'm just going to order the new Boondocks replacement and have a nice straight rudder and be good to go. But, yeah, it was really nice to take the kayak out. It's nice to have those options. I actually had to move the boat this week over to Paul's house because he's got enough land for me to be able to leave it there because this week we are doing our end of summer clean out in the house, just a big purge of all kinds of stuff, and we're getting a dumpster for like 2 weeks in our driveway, which meant I would have been sidelined for 2 weeks easily, or I'd have to park the boat in the street, and like in the city of Holyoke, I don't want to fucking do that because there are plenty of people who fucking do that, and I'm like, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
There's only so much parking anyway on here. I don't want to leave my boat and everything sitting right there. That's crazy town. So, yeah, I got this over on Paul's land. It's all good. Tim Behan says, my rudder's bent. Yeah, mine now is like an S. It's like an S. It had a little bit of a curve one. And this sounds terrible. It's
a pleasure curve.
It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure curve. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I call it the jolly slope. It is what it is.
Hell yeah.
Tim, I got money coming your way too, by the way. That's coming this week because there was only 2 winners in last week's scavenger hunt or last month's scavenger hunt. So I'm going to fix that all up and get things all set. And man, it's just been wild. It's been absolutely nuts. But let's shift gears because there was some breaking news that happened this week. And I sent it over to Joe for the headlines, and I think this is amazing. Are you ready, Joe?
Yeah, let's do it.
It is better than
so
the kayak league.
While Bobby was talking, I was actually looking for a little bit more information on this, but there actually isn't a ton out there. I have 2 stories for you guys. First one, both of them are kind of like no bueno. So first one comes locally to Bobby and I here in Massachusetts, specifically Western Massachusetts. And this story actually comes from Bobby's alma mater.
Yeah, my
Right?
former
Yeah,
employer.
from 22 News out here in Springfield, Hampshire County. So, fishermen discover body in Lower Mill Pond in East Hampton. So East Hampton, Western Mass. A body was found in the Lower Mill Pond in East Hampton on Friday. According to the Northwestern District Attorney's Office, First Assistant District Attorney Stephen Gagney at around, and then they actually didn't put a time. So that's totally 22 News where they've said at around, they forgot the number and put PM. So sometime in the evening on Friday, a man and his son fishing discovered a body and called the police. The victim is believed to be 22-year-old Rodney Yankson of East Hampton, who has been missing since August 13th. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner is working to determine the cause of death, and the official identification will be made. The investigation is being conducted by the East Hampton Police Department and the State Police Detective Unit attached to the Northwestern District Attorney's Office. So that's where we're at right now. So, imagine being out fishing and finding that'll ruin your fucking day real quick.
Oh yeah.
You hear these stories like,
you
fisherman
do.
discovers body and such, and I swear that is one thing I 100% hope never shows up on my radar, like ever, because I don't even know how I could process. And I've seen some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had working in news. TMI, big fucking share. Working in news, there was a guy that I worked with that was a news photographer at that station who we had a jumper off of a building locally, and this guy recorded the actual before they cleaned up the situation. Human pancake, buddy.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And he's gotten into trouble and shit. Actually, Sean the Fisherman knows this guy. They're good friends. And the dude's great, but he just pushes it sometimes. There was some kind of there was a decapitated head with in a train accident and he recorded B-roll of it and got into some shit for that, you know? It's I get it. You can edit this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Come on. But
yeah.
He got into some shit for that. Oh, yeah, John Higgins chimes in. Goes, it's one of my biggest fears, especially since I hit a lot of remote places and rivers.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It happens, especially out by you, Bobby. That shit happens a lot on the Connecticut River.
Yeah, it does.
More than we hear about.
Yep.
You'll hear quick tidbits about it, but Jesus, they probably get half a dozen bodies out of the Connecticut River each year.
When you see a lot of these stories of people gone missing, and that's where they'll find them. They just show up and something happened.
Yeah,
you know, and it's who knows?
Yeah, we get it every holiday, dude. I live right next to the American River, and every holiday there's a bunch of raft rentals and stuff. Everybody floats down the river, especially 4th of July and stuff.
Oh yeah,
yep.
They're just dredging for the next week, dude. And they just collect. It's the worst thing. You know what I'm saying?
It is. It's shitty. And on the Connecticut River, there's a couple bridges that are known, unfortunately known as, suicide bridges where people are hopping off. So, they get that quite a bit, even no matter the fencing or barricades they put up around those things. So,
the Forest Hill Bridge is down the way. The one in Fast and Furious where Vin Diesel drove a car off a bridge. That's the bridge down the way.
Shit.
And it's massive. It's massive. And they put a giant net under it, 20 feet under it. They have this giant net sticking out.
Yeah. Yep.
Still, it's just every time you go over that bridge.
I can't think of the name. That's what it is. It's the Sagamore Bridge. The Sagamore Bridge going into Cape Cod, right? So much traffic.
Yeah. Yep.
You've seen the fences they have them. They're 10, 15 feet high.
Yeah.
They're crazy high because they're and there's signage. They're if you are struggling, call this number.
Call this number.
You know, and it's and honestly, I don't think some of those bridges that are in Western Mass along the Connecticut, I don't think they'd get the job done. I mean, this is probably fucking too much. I don't know that they're fucking high enough. They say that if you fall into water going fast enough, that water is the same effect as landing in concrete. But I don't know how high they need to be for that to be the situation. And it's it's only 5 feet of water. So if you do, hit that water, you're basically going to knock yourself out and drown.
Yep.
God.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So on a lighter note, if I ever found a body in the river, I don't know what I would do. I'd probably grab some rope and rocks and pretend I never saw it. I have no idea. Like, it's beyond me to figure
I'm just going to keep paddling and hopefully the next guy calls somebody because I don't want to be involved.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. See, I never would expect this from St. Nick. He says, I could show you some places to avoid. Canada's got so few people that I would think that, like, finding bodies probably wouldn't be that common up there.
Yeah.
But we just got people to spare. We're fucking throwing them off everything. Then John Hagen says, I always fear the smell of death while I'm out. As much as I don't want to, I always investigate because it could be someone's loved one, usually a dead raccoon or just recently a coyote.
Yep.
That's a tough position to be in.
It's unfortunate, it's something.
Makes sense.
I'm downriver from Detroit.
Say less, fam. Say less. Fuck.
Oh, the dirty D.
News.
It's crazy. There's actually a lot of fucking there's a lot of YouTubers out there. Yep. Fishing YouTubers that this has happened to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's quite a few out there. I kind of like stumbled, I went down the YouTube wormhole one day, and that's kind of what it ended up coming down as. But yeah, it's it's just one of those things. I have a friend who was hunting and came across a body in the woods.
Really?
Years back. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yep. It was a suicide, and it came across that, and it just, actually in the woods, I fucked with my older kids. I won't say this to Emma yet. She's too young, but like the 10-year-olds, because they're like in this weird, like, oh, we want to do ghost hunting. That sounds really cool. Yeah. So back in the day, like in the 80s, so across the street, they actually built a house across the street from me recently. And before that, there was like a dilapidated, like single wide that was back off in the woods. You couldn't really see it unless you knew it was there. And apparently it was there since there was a gentleman who like walked out in the backwoods across the street from my house and hung himself. So I always tell the kids, I told them that story, and they're like, wait, really? That actually happened? I was like, yeah, like, because my mom told, like, when I bought this house, my mom told me the story. She's like, because it was like in the 80s this happened, like early 80s, so I was just like baby, but so I told them that. They're like, no, we're not gonna go over there.
Holy shit.
Yeah
dude,
awesome. So
I can't even imagine that. Did I ever tell you guys about the time Becca and I attempted to camp at a Cracker Barrel locally?
I don't think so.
So this was goes back a couple of years. In fact, Joe, you know what it was? It was when you first jumped on the show. It was at that sportsman show that Becca had come to, and originally we were going to camp at the Big E, but we couldn't get heads or tails of if we were able to actually camp and go back and forward or anything like that. So she's like, let's go and grab dinner, and we'll just go to Cracker Barrel and we'll just camp there. And it was 7 degrees that night. It was ridiculous. And I was like, long story short, I ended up bailing because I was like, I'm not going to camp in the city where I live. In this cold, I have a summer sleeping bag, Becca. She's like, no, you're going to die. Don't do that. She's like, that'll be really bad for you. She goes, you go home and sleep. Well, anyway, we're in Cracker Barrel, and she's like, I find it's always best. You can camp here, it's common knowledge, but she's like, anytime I do, I always want to talk to the manager or something, make sure it's okay. Well, this is weird. So our server comes over, and she's like, I'm just curious, is the manager around? I just want to talk about camping and stuff and verify everything. She's like, you guys can camp here. That's no problem. She goes, however, stay away from this side of the parking lot. And she's like, oh, really? Okay, no problem. We'll go on the opposite end. And she goes, why? Why is that? She goes, because there's a camper that's been there for a little over a week. And nobody has come in or out of it that we've seen. And it's just been sitting there. There's no vehicle. It was full on set up. Awning out, windows drawn. Yeah. Chalks and everything. It was set up. And she's like, we don't know what's going on.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. Breaking Bad out there, Cracker Barrel, literally Cracker Barrel.
Becca and I are walking out to the parking lot, and I was like,
we're 100% going to go investigate that camper, right?
And she's like, oh, fuck yeah, we are. And I was like,
do you think there's a dead body in there? I'll bet you there's a dead body in there.
there. And she's like, let's not fucking go near that if that's the situation. And
Oh, yeah.
that could be what happened. Like somebody set up
Yeah.
camp died, and then like, you know, whoever, like, who knows? So
You
apparently
think they would have like had the cops look at it, you know, earlier than a
that's what
week
that's what
plus.
she told me. She's like, Monday they're gonna come by and investigate it, check it out, and see about towing it away.
Gonna put
Because
it on
it's
their
been that long.
schedule.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm like, oh, you're gonna leave it for the Monday morning crowd? Okay, fair enough.
Oh yeah. Oh, which is fucked up. 'Cause those are like the old grumpy guys that finally are
Oh,
on
yeah.
day shift and don't want to do shit.
They don't want to do a goddamn thing, but
Yeah.
here we are. Here we are.
Pencil this in for Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got one more story for you guys.
Yeah, fire away.
And I guarantee you, I know Bobby. I mentioned this. I'm sure Dave is tracking on this. Let's talk Wes Logan's crash on Lake Champlain.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, dude.
yeah, this is
So-
fucking nuts.
So I took this. This is actually from. I'm not even going to say the site because I know they're not going to come at us. It's actually all right. I'm going to tell you. GhanaCelebrities.com. They actually had the best editorial story about it because everything else is just video.
Wow.
So Wes Logan, an Elite Series boater or an Elite Series pro from Springville, Alabama, has spoken up about how lucky he is to be alive following a scary accident on Lake Champlain. Logan was competing for the Urke Fishing International on day 2 of the Champlain Elite when he got into some trouble. He reportedly hit a submerged obstruction that detached his motor from his boat and resulted in a spin out. This led him hitting his head and almost getting thrown out of his boat. His wife, Riley Logan, revealed the stunning news on social media following the initial collision. So before I get into the rest of this, being a bass boater, being as I drive that thing like I shouldn't at times,
Yeah.
and on lakes like this, it's just one, especially on a big body of water like that.
Yeah.
It's just the risk you take. Luckily for him, he actually had something called a So they call it it's a leash for your motor to basically keep it on the transom even when it disconnects. And they think that's kind of what saved it. They think that's kind of what saved it. And obviously he was also wearing his kill switch, which is huge as well.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, this thing, they say it was basically because there were storms up north when we dealt with them, and they believe it was a submerged dock or a floating dock that detached, but it's something, it must have been taking on a little bit of water, so it actually was under
Oh yeah.
the water a little bit, so you couldn't see it. And he was driving the boat I used to have in that chop, so he was probably doing a good 70 miles an hour, 65 to 70 when he hit that thing. Excuse me. So I mean, he ended up hitting his head, hitting his chin. He got like 30 plus stitches.
Sheesh, dude.
But here's what's badass about it, and it might be in the rest. I won't even read the rest. There's not much left. But so here's what's badass about it. The dude gets towed back, right? Goes to the hospital, okay? Gets stitched up, comes back, gets another boat, like a bass cat was loaned to him, and goes and finishes up for the day. It still ends with like 15 pounds or something like that.
Fuck.
Like they transferred his fish over to the other boat and everything. Yeah, so he went and
shit.
He finished the tournament after getting stitched up. But I will finish this. So according to his wife, Wes was in a bad boating accident and suffered a head injury and lacerations. She added that he had been taken to a local hospital in an ambulance after initially being stranded out in the water for over an hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it took them an hour to get to him. Luckily, he had his phone and everything. And he had service. That's what's key. Because he did not have a cameraman. I mean, it's actually probably a very good thing he didn't have a cameraman with him.
Yeah, it could have been bad.
If that cameraman with that velocity, he most likely would have went up and over.
Oh yeah.
So Wes hit a bad wave, maybe even something in the water that was unable to be seen. This is his wife speaking.
Yep.
While driving on Lake Champlain, the impact was so great that his motor detached from his boat, which resulted in a spin out. During this 360-degree turn, he hit his head and was almost thrown out of the boat. He luckily stayed conscious enough to call me to alert for help. So he called his wife. So to be like, because she must have been there at the launch or whatever. Most amazingly of all, after receiving the medical help he needed, including 14 stitches, Wes was cleared and he got back out there to rejoin the competition. Speaking after the accident, he emphasized how lucky he is to be alive and said he feels extremely blessed. Wes called on everyone to enjoy every waking moment because it literally could be your last. And he actually got pretty emotional up on the stage there with
Do you blame him?
Yeah, no, dude. So it's my scariest moment that I had on my boat was on Lake Hartwell. I had an incident to where I was in the Skeeter going way too fast for the amount of chop that there was.
Yep.
Just trying to get to another spot, and I had the jack plate and the trim way too high. I should have had it in. I should have had the prop in the water more than it was, and I hit a chop. And as I did that, wind started to catch underneath. And so that boat just kind of started to turn into an airplane. And luckily I lost the lift and came down. And let me tell you, I kept it cool the rest of that day.
Yeah.
It scared the absolute shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Jumps out on the trolling motor. There's fish right here, I swear. Trolling motor around the rest of the lake.
Yeah. No, this will be fine. This will be fine. But yeah, so I think it was the last day of the tournament, and I was like, I had a good box going, and I was just like trying to get a couple more spots to try to get into the money. But
how fast were you going?
That time I was doing probably. I think I was doing like 67, 68.
Oh, wow, okay. So you were up there
when that happened.
End,
yeah. I was, and that's it. And stupid me was trying to get more out of it. So
yeah,
I had that jack plate lifted all the way up, and basically, yeah, it was just stupid. I should have been eating more water with the prop than I was.
Yeah.
And I got it on video too, but the way the GoPro was mounted, it was kind of high and didn't like give it like justice of the view. But but me being in the seat, dude, I knew exactly how bad it was.
Dude.
Yeah, so it's so I'm very, and it sucks because number one, I'm like an adrenaline junkie, so I'm always trying to go as fast as I absolutely can in whatever boat I have.
Yep.
Yeah.
And but what I don't do is I don't do it when I have people with me, unless it's like a tournament or a co-angler in a tournament who is like, let's fucking go.
And they get it. Yeah.
Yep. Like with my wife and my kids, I don't, I put a lot of shit on TikTok, stuff like that. It looks like I'm, going balls to the walls, but I'm also very, I know what I'm doing. I'm very experienced, so I know when to chill and when I don't have to chill, Yep. And that super choppy water is fucking dangerous for a bass boat with only, a foot and a half of draft. Yeah. It's just, it's just how it is. So luckily Wes was okay. Fucking scary. Motor got ripped right off, and that's kind of that.
That's amazing. Like, that's amazing that could even possibly happen.
Yep. And that's why, because a lot of people were like, oh, I don't know if he actually hit anything. Well, if he just had a blowout and spun out, which is his motor wouldn't have come off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His motor wouldn't have come off for a blowout.
Yep.
A blowout is basically your prop, like kind of what happened to me, in a way what happened to me, where your prop just loses water. It just doesn't have any more water, and it just sprints free, and you lose that. It's kind of like the same idea as a plane with lift. You just lose that momentum, and you lose control. So awesome. He was all right. Hopefully he gets his boat, but I mean, they're done for the. Oh no, they were at St. Lawrence, and I actually didn't see if he made it. Shit, I should have been looking to see if he was up there. I doubt he's in his boat, because that looked like that was going to take more than a week of repair.
Oh yeah.
But so he's probably in that bass cap. But no, luckily he was okay. So yeah, guys, if you're a new angler, or if you're a new angler in a high power bass boat, high performance bass boat, just be humble.
Be aware.
Know that those things have a lot of power and a lot of shit can go wrong. Wear your vest, wear your PFD, and attach that kill switch.
Wear your kill switch. Yeah.
I very, very rarely am I not wearing my PFD with a kill switch on it. Especially on that choppy water. Smooth water, it's like if you know what you're doing, very, it's unlikely that something could go wrong like that, but it's that choppy water, dude. I don't fuck around.
Yeah. No. You got to be smart, dude. 100%. On that big water, it can get fucking sketchy. And I think there's something to that submerged floating dock.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. I think there's something to that.
It was something there, whether it was a dock, a log, something. He hit something, ripped that motor off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It didn't just fall off.
Maybe it was Champ.
Oh.
Came up, took a little bite.
Yeah.
Might have come up in that lower unit, hit just right, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna show you," and then flicked it with its tail, and that motor just went flying. You know?
Yeah.
I am an absolute piece of shit for taking it there.
But that's the news for this week. Doom and gloom this week, but we'll see.
JT Tompkins DQ.
Ooh, yeah.
I have no idea about that.
I haven't followed it much this week.
Yeah, I have no idea. What about Dave? Do you have any info on this?
So, no, I was actually. It's funny. I was on my phone looking stuff up when I saw Jigs and Bigs going live on YouTube. No, I was actually looking it up because I was like, hey, how did he zero out? And then social media started saying, oh, he got DQ'd. And I'm like, what did he get DQ'd for? And that's when I was on my phone looking for information when I saw I got the notification you guys are going live. So 20 more minutes, I would have had some information.
Yeah. We had, we were having a conversation on the boat today, Joe and Bobby and myself, about failed the lie detector test. Ooh.
I was just we've talked about the lie detector test.
Yeah.
So he failed the lie detector test. Interesting. Wow. Interesting.
I wonder if they log how many people pass it versus how many people fail it. I don't,
Yeah. I mean,
I'm sure Ken Duke would have some sort of info on that one for sure.
Yeah, some kind of info like that. That's shitty.
Ooh.
Speaking of other shit in the tournament world that's a little crazy, you guys seen this Milliken video?
Nope.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Joe, specifically? Because I haven't really followed it much at all, but Joe and Bobby and I were talking about it today. He's like, I don't know if that was a dead fish. And the video quality is sketchy to begin with. And is that what do you think? I'm just curious.
The thing that gets me with it, and and I'm a big Ben fan.
Oh yeah.
And this was tough for me to watch. Mm-hmm. And I watched it kind of break down in slow motion, everything. Even if it was a fish that was alive, those fucking fin clips were still on there.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
And that's fucked up to do that.
Yeah.
So then that makes me believe well, why the fuck would you do that? A fish that was
if the fish,
because we all know Ben's. I'm a huge Milliken fan. I love Ben, but it doesn't look good, man. You know what I mean? And we all get frustrated. We all get pissed. We get frustrated.
Oh, for sure.
We all know he's kind of had a tough season this year.
Yep.
I haven't read much into it. I just kind of saw that video. It was kind of like, oh my God, I don't even want to look any more into this.
Yeah, that's tough.
So essentially, they throwing dead fish back, whatever, instead of because you're not supposed to cull dead fish. You're supposed to weigh them in,
and then take the penalty, right?
Yep, and the problem is when he tossed that fish, it was very obvious that there was still fin clips on it. And those of you that aren't familiar with fin clips are basically clips that go on the fish. That for some reason, if the fish appears it might struggle or maybe struggling, it kind of keeps them buoyant in the right position. Yeah. Yep, keeps them upright. Those were 100% fin clips on that fish.
Yep.
No, can't deny it. Whether it was a fish that was alive and he just made a mistake and forgot to take them off during a cull, maybe, but it just didn't look good.
That I'm gonna have to look into it and see for myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, if there's fin clips on there, it's why would they be on there? It kind of tells the tale.
I mean, you typically only put them on a fish that was struggling. So
yeah, well, I'm glad actually that we mentioned struggling fish, because remember I talked about my week and I talked about that chain pickerel.
Yeah,
and I pulled it out of 20 feet of water.
Yeah,
I got to learn how to fizz a fish. I got to learn how to fizz a fish. That fish like, so I released the crappie from earlier, not in deep water at all. And this thing it was the slowest, laziest swim away from the boat I've ever seen. He got down there with no problem and was fine. This pickerel did not fucking fare so well. Released him, like tried to kind of revive him in the water, and I'm like, he was so deep. It's different for all kinds of fish. Like I've pulled like fish out deep before, and I've had to fizz them, but I've also pulled out fish that were just barely in a more shallow position, and they've swam away just fine. So with like, water temperature and stuff, and like where they are and how they eat and all that shit, like there's a bunch of different factors. But that's one thing I gotta learn how to do, man, because that would help quite a bit. Like, it happens in our sport, and that fish, especially where I was, for sure made a great meal for a bird. For sure.
Yep.
But I was like, I can't get this fish to come out. And I'm like, I'm not going to eat this pickerel. You know what I mean? It's too big.
Yeah.
I was like, 19 inches in this body of water, it's chock full of fucking mercury, man,
Yeah.
You might be the first person ever to fizz a pickerel too.
I was gonna say, if you do it, he'd be glowing more than your background. You know what I'm saying?
I think Sean actually fizzed a pickerel, and I think he fizzed one out of this body of water.
No shit.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was like a 25-inch too.
Yeah.
Do you think he'd be willing to do a video with you on fizzing fish?
I don't know that he knows enough to be able to like know for sure. He's seen it done and kind of followed whatever. I don't know. Actually, and now that I think about it, I don't think that it made it with this fish. And I think it was one of those things that he said the same thing, like, I got to learn how to do this. Yeah. Because it's just like, I know it's basically, there's a tool that you can buy. It's like a needle,
Yeah.
like a syringe.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you basically just pierce that bladder. But like, really what I got to know is the
where on a pickerel?
Yes, like where on the location, because I don't want to go and just, I'm not putting thumbs up for fucking fizzing fish. I just got to know, like, where's the right spot? Where is that bladder on these different species, especially since I like to catch so many different species, Right. So I gotta go and look into it.
Yeah, I think that would also be super sick, because I've looked it up a few times, and there's a couple different tutorials on how to fizz a fish.
Yeah.
But if it was somebody like you who's very good at explaining that kind of stuff step by step, you could go through that whole video and just have a tutorial. You know what I'm saying? You could almost post it to the website on a regular basis. So before people go to do any multi-species event by Jigs and Bigs, they can check out all the informational tutorials that you have on the website for it.
Right.
That's not a bad idea. Todd S. chimes in and he goes, I've seen saltwater guys use lip clips on a weight and send the fish down, then yank the line when it gets down to depth. It releases the lip grip and the fish. Not sure if that works. I don't know. I think you'd still have to remove the air from that bladder, because then it's just going to give them the bends all over again if it sends them back, that deep. I'd be afraid of doing that. I would probably want to fizz that fish.
Eyes probably explode.
That's what I'm saying.
Like fucking Total Recall.
They don't actually pull the line back. They just wait for it to go loop.
Fish comes back up and it looks like Tom York of Radiohead. Like,
Baby's got the bends.
Oh, sorry. Michael Bradley chimes in, says JT suspected of getting waypoints. Oh, from an MLF official. And from what I understand, the lie detectors aren't that accurate. I see, that's the thing. Lie detectors are not that accurate. They're not. Like, a lot of people make it sound like you failed a lie detector. That means you're a liar. No, that means that the lie detector, something fucking threw it off. Who the fuck even knows?
You had too much caffeine before you took the test, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, you could be a really high-strung person and you could fail every question.
Or maybe I just had a colonoscopy the day before. You know what I mean? And I wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of shit. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but you know what I mean?
I could say the videos after colonoscopy on YouTube are hilarious.
Oh my God. It's my favorite thing to watch. Yeah, colonoscopy farts. I gotta schedule one too. Love those farts. Eyes are out when they pull them in saltwater. Yeah, they are. Just dangling.
Sound like Laces Out from Ace Ventura.
Yeah, there you go. Laces out, baby. I love it.
Tinkle his Einhorn.
Guys, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come around. We're going to figure out what's going on with segment number 2. We got a couple of FTGs to throw out there. One of them was actually a very positive mention on a previous show in Jigs and Bigs. So we'll talk about that. We have Kevin, Biohazard Bassin, with an interesting FTG where the tables are kind of turned. Lots of times on this show, we have kayakers that will air their grievances about other folks on the water. This is different. You're not going to want to miss out. We'll be back in a bit. Don't go too far. More Jigs and Bigs coming up right after this. Jigs and Bigs wants to take a moment to say thank you to our partners for helping us continue to push the limits of our fishing adventures and bring you amazing long-form podcast content. We need to thank Dark Horse Tackle, Omnia Fishing, A-Bay Lure, The Bay House, and The Ship Motel. We can't forget about Three Bells Outfitters, Torres Sunglasses, and of course, Reaction Tackle. Be sure to check the description of this podcast for any associated affiliate links or promo codes they've generously provided our listening audience. Again, we cannot thank our partners enough for their support. Please consider supporting them and supporting the show in the same process. Thanks. Hey, you. Yeah, you. The one with the impeccable taste in fishing podcasts. Bobby Roast Beef here with a little call to action for all Jigs and Bigs listeners. We're opening up our hotline to you. Now you can call us to sound off about almost anything at 413-324-8519. Want to submit someone for our FTG segment? Call us at 413-324-8519. Care to maybe suggest a topic for just the tip or bait of the week? Call us at 413-324-8519. Maybe you just want to give us or anyone else a little shout out on the show, or you want to suggest a guest for the beef seat. You guessed it. Call us at 413-324-8519. The Jigs and Bigs hotline is there for you to leave a message with us 24/7. Just call 413-324-8519. Also, you can check that number in the notes of this podcast. You know, it's not very often where we get FTGs like this one that we're going to hear. Like I said before the break, we at Jigs and Bigs, a lot of our listeners are kayak anglers. A lot of them. And we get a lot of FTGs from the kayak angler perspective. Well, this is a little bit different. Now, I'm a little unsure of if this was a wreck kayaker or a kayak fisherman. It sounds to me like a wreck kayaker. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a listen. This is from Kevin, Biohazard Bassin. Let's see what he has to say.
Hey guys, this is Kevin from Biohazard Bassin. I got a FTG. I was at my buddy's house fishing for the week, and we're just me and the kids fishing off the dock. And you know, it's a nice calm lake, no motorboats, so you have no lake lights and shit like that. But a kayaker. This old guy comes right 20 feet in front of us while we're casting our lines. And basically I was just like, hey man, like, can you respect us fishing? He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, you just went right through where the kids are fishing and you just drove your fucking kayak right through where we were fishing. Whatever. I was like, all right. And then 2 days later, I'm out on the little John boat that he has and I'm fishing by myself. And this fucking kayaker comes by again right through the fucking lily pads that I was about to fish. About 20 feet in front of my kayak between me and the shore and cuts me off. I just don't get it. I don't get it, but people need to be educated. They need to be educated on just respecting people's space and just figuring out like, hey, this guy's fishing. Let me stay 50, 60 feet away, at least 50, 60 feet away from him. Minimum. All right. Yeah. Well, that's my FTG, guys. All right. Take care, man. Later.
I can totally understand how that could be frustrating and ridiculous. I feel like when it comes to paddlers, they almost think like, well, how much is this really disrupting what you're doing? You know what I mean? And, maybe there's a little truth to that. Maybe that stand-up paddleboard or that wreck kayaker that's going by, just leisurely hanging out, doing their thing, going through where you're fishing, maybe it's not really interrupting anything, but I think it gets down to an issue of respect, and space. Like, I also don't want to be responsible for if I cast to that area and you coast right in and end up getting my exposed Ned rig in your fucking face. You know what I mean? Whose fault is it then? I don't know.
Yeah, no,
it's shitty.
I mean, okay, so I know for a fact that I've been a bank angler for a long time. So when I got into a kayak, anytime I'm anywhere, whether there's a big boat, which is rare because I try to stay away from them, or what is more often, a lot of bank anglers. Like, I make sure I'm like, hey, where you guys at? Oh, we're straight out here. Okay, I'm going to come out this way. Like, I kind of communicate with them to make sure that I'm way out of the way of wherever they're fishing.
Yep.
I'm not going to fish their water. I'm not going to paddle right through their water. And except for Andy, I mean, I'll cut under his line all the time.
Yeah, of course.
But other than that, dude, like, it's the communication. Like, we would expect the same respect from anybody else. I don't want somebody casting a 1 ounce jig from the bank at my kayak, for no reason. So,
and I want to say, like, I do think that this is a wreck kayaker he's talking about in the story, simply because he doesn't seem to have any like awareness of fishing at all. The way he was like, hey, can you respect the fishing? Just the way he reacted kind of was just like, you don't matter. You know what I mean? So, and then Michael Bradley goes, and this is kind of like lines up with this similar situation that Kevin was talking about. Michael says, can I say FTG to the kayaker and his wife who tied up the boat ramp with no clue or consideration for the guy at the dock, me trying to pull out. They left them at the bottom of the ramp, then carried to the top and left them in the middle, right in the middle of the ramp. The dock has a kayak launch, but they chose not to use it, which is fucking insane and actually ties into a story that I've got. He goes, I've had these wreck kayakers come so close that they've gone under my line. It's always the recreational ones, which, 100% makes sense. The cost of entry for somebody to get on the water in a recreational kayak or a paddleboard is so unbelievably low that it's not treated with any kind of respect at all. I mean, how many times do you see a wreck kayaker wearing a PFD? Hardly ever. Hardly ever. I mean, is it population control? Maybe, but that's debatable. Yeah. I'll tell you, and I find it interesting. Michael says that they have a kayak launch, but they chose not to use it. So it's interesting. Like, I come from that aspect where, like, I can't use a typical, like, kayak launch for my boat most of the time. Like, generally, I kind of need to use a ramp, especially being that I'm trailering it and I'm launching right off the trailer. So it's a little bit of a different kind of animal. But again, like, I treat boat launch rules the same way. Like, if you want to use the launch, that's fine. There are bodies of water where that's not the case. Now, the story I'm going to tell for my FTG also includes wreck kayakers, and at a dare I say, industrial level. So this is the situation. Let me paint the picture. This is Wednesday when I was fishing, and I had that great multi-species day. Mm-hmm. And I'm about to go and head back over to the ramp. Now, this ramp at the lake where I was fishing has multiple lanes. It has 2 wide lanes for boats to be able to pull right down and launch. There's a spot where they park their dredger, like right off to the left over there. But there's a real nice sandy spot on either side of the ramp where I'll go and just beach my boat, jump out, go grab my truck, and back down. I back down into one of these lanes, and I like to go and hug the left side. If I'm in the left lane, I like to hug the left side of that lane. If I'm in the right lane, I like to hug the right side of that lane to allow more space for people to go. So there's an ample amount of room. Locally, there is I'll say it's a resort spa that's in the area in the Berkshires. We've mentioned them on the show. Sean the Fisherman has actually stayed at their facilities and gave it a rave review. It's called Canyon Ranch. Now, Canyon Ranch has what do you call it? I guess you could call it an agreement with the state to utilize this boat launch for their paddling program. So they come down with, they have multiple vehicles with giant trailers that haul like something like 9 to 12 boats. Like, it's crazy. If they're doing the stand-up paddle boards, like, they just stack them on top of each other and strap them down. It's the amount of people that come down for this is insane. And then there's a shuttle that brings a bunch of people. Well, this guy pulls down into, so like I said, I'm in the left lane, hugging the left line of the left lane. This guy backs down. Now, I've been told by the attendant who works over here for the state that there is a kayak lane on either side. It's skinnier. So that's what, if you're loading a kayak, you go on the outsides, the far outsides, which is fine. I've never heard this before this year specifically, but hey, that's fine. This guy pulls down right on the line in between the two and like parks like cockeyed into my lane, so I can't pull out. Not only that, his attendant that's with him is unloading the PFDs from the trailer and walking directly across my lane to pull my boat out. I am tied up. I'm ready to go. I'm sitting in the truck and I'm just sitting there on my phone waiting to be able to go. The dude looks at me when he pulls in there. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to be here very long. Horseshit. I think he was there for 10 minutes. I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me, man. Now, I understand that they have an agreement with this place. Did I take a picture? I feel like I did take a picture. I know I took some video. Yeah, you guys can see in this video here.
Oh, shit.
Oh, wow.
It's in, like, if
I saw that.
Yeah, it's in my YouTube video. I was like, yeah, wait for the FTG this week. So the dude that was working for Canyon Ranch, like, I was like, what the fuck are you thinking? Like, this is a public boat launch that you guys have the ability to use, whatever your agreement is, but that doesn't mean you can fucking block people in here. Like, what if there was an emergency and I had to get out of there fast?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, just like, come the fuck on.
Look like a bunch of bowling pins. Just
Biggest Nick
fly your truck through them all.
says it best. He says, pulling out is for nerds anyway. Fucking nerds.
Fucking nerds.
Fucking nerds.
Bravo.
It's just it's ridiculous, man. The amount of people I think that are and what was it? Michael comments. He goes, it's the rental place where he fishes. That's even worse because the cost of entry is now only 15% of that wreck kayak or what. You know what I mean? Like anybody can go. And I get it. Like you want to utilize the water, you want to do everything, but it's like, dude, like let's fucking be accountable. Like if you're Canyon Ranch and you're bringing a bunch of people who are spending big fucking money to stay at your facility and recreate in whatever fashion or do yoga or whatever the fuck it is you're doing over there,
right?
Like, and you're utilizing a public resource to work your program, like you should be following those fucking rules to a T.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like, who the fuck do you guys think you are? I don't know. I'm going to get off my soapbox, but it is kind of interesting that every single FTG was about recreational kayakers.
Yeah. Are we the season?
Yeah. Are we seeing a newer, greener version of lake lice?
Oh, might be the vegan lake louse.
The vegan louse.
No, I just feel like if they're making that kind of money anyways, like they have their own private resort, I don't understand why they wouldn't pay, at least because I'm sure the land could, use it. At least the Natural Resources Department would take the money if they built their own ramp.
Yeah.
I mean, you have all this stuff, you might as well get your own ramp, and then that way there's no cross traffic.
Now that I think about it, there's like a camp that has a paddling program further down the way. And they have recreational kayakers all the time. Like I'll be fishing a spot, and because they're fucking silent on the water for the most part, unless they're like yammering about whatever. Oh, Noah Khan, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean?
How's your Bitcoin, Bobby?
Yeah, exactly. So they just like swarm around you, and I'm like, okay, I'll just let you guys pass. Like I'm sitting there with my boat on spot lock, like trying to fish the sailboat pattern, and all these freaking kayaks come down through me, and I'm just like, and they don't pick a side. Like they're not. So I have some that are going in between where I'm fishing, and then on the other side, I'm like, just keep going. And when when they talk to me, I just look at them and I'm like, I don't speak English. I'm just like, eh? This guy's keeping
it's the sign language. You got to do the sign language.
Oh, dude.
Oh, it's time.
You know, what?
Perfect.
I fucking love YouTube. I'm never gonna make any money on this platform ever, dude. Everything's gonna get shut down.
Why does it only do thumbs up? Why doesn't it do this one?
Yeah.
Dude. Oh, hold on. What's the fucking
Water squirrels, floating fleas. Oh, I like that. Oh, there it is.
fucking fireworks, floating fleas?
Dude, I love it.
It is absolutely ridiculous. It just drives me nuts the way people think or don't think when they're on the water, regardless of the vessel that they're in. Like, we got to all respect each other, whether you're in a bass boat or a little fucking rowboat, or you're in a kayak, a fishing kayak, a wreck kayak, a stand-up paddleboard. If you're on a float tube and you're having the time of your life, respect other people that are on the water, you know?
Yep.
Nothing makes me happier than when I'm fishing a body of water where there are wreck boaters and I see like a water skier in a cove off in their own space, having a blast, leaving me the fuck alone. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Nothing makes me happier. Go get it, man. Go get that shit.
Those are unicorns.
They really are. I almost want to go up to them and go like, here, you deserve a beer.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah.
You deserve a beer. Thank you. You know?
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We all talk about like, oh, we need to, educate these folks. But the problem is like everybody's so defensive when you try to do that and explain to them like, hey, just a heads up, like they're like, oh, fuck you. I'm here to do whatever. And it's like, okay, cool. O'Doyle rules. That's fine. Like just go ahead and get done what you need to get done. And it's like, it's fucking ridiculous. Zach fucking nailed it right here. He goes, I don't know. It's the same as the road and it's paved with a lack of respect. That's true. That's definitely
Massachusetts roads are barely paved. Let's just
let's be honest here.
California's either on fire or under construction. So yeah.
It's true.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
John says, "How dare you tell me I fucked up?" That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have to start every statement and go like,
Now look, this is not a personal attack. Okay, I want you to take what I'm about to say and don't internalize it about you specifically as a person, as who you're trying to be, your true self, your spirit fucking animal, whatever. But you're a fucking dumbass.
Let's go sit in your safe space and have a conversation.
That's exactly what it is. Oh God. I almost started my trip out today with Joe and Bobby saying like, all right, guys, here you are. Welcome to the implication. You should be aware that this is a boat. This is not a safe space. You're going to hear words. It's going to happen. And Bobby already, again, like I know the kind of stock that Bobby comes from, so that nothing needed to be said.
Okay.
Biggest Nick says, wait, those taxes don't pave the roads. Todd S is paved with tears. Or this is absolutely a personal attack, Zach says. And, sometimes you just got to go that way. Like it's like the time when I called the cops on all those fucking cars that were parked where the trailers should be parked. And I was like, hey, these guys got to go. And the dude lost his mind. And I was just like, yo, this is a personal attack. You're an idiot. That was my bad. I probably should have approached it and been like, listen.
Let's sit down. We'll have a little kale salad together, okay? We'll talk. We'll talk about our feelings. We'll dig deep. And we'll get a little resolution together. We can make this happen.
Losing my mind. I'm losing my fucking mind.
Oh, dude, you said you belong in my state, I swear to God.
I really do. I really do, dude. It's crazy.
So good.
Oh, I imagine, this is probably a little too old for some of our listeners, but I imagine, Dave, that your podcast is going to become something along the lines of like SNL's The Californians.
Oh, I know that one.
Just a lot of people looking at each other going like, it's going to be so fucking good. You should take the 405 because I just went through the.
Yes, dude. Yes. I just went through the Palisades and oh my God. Yep, that is that's dead nuts, dude. Dead to right.
The intro. The intro should be like the Beverly Hills 90210 theme, like a riff on that, like lots of fucking guitar and shit like that.
Dude, I'm
Realistic
still looking for music, so I'm not hating it.
He'll probably be the only Californian that ever is on that show.
Most likely.
Yeah.
I know, that's the thing. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Although I will tell you what I think would be a great collab if you did Cast and Crank and Whole Angler collab together.
I want to.
That would be amazing.
To get a hold of that guy. I don't know him, so I will be reaching out for sure.
Yeah,
there's
fucking great show. Like, yeah,
yes, no, it's a great show.
Great
I love
show.
it. I'm just saying, I don't know him personally, so.
Zach says, I stopped watching SNL when there was no longer the church lady. Zach is letting us know exactly the generation he's from, which is the best generation for SNL.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, guys, let's go ahead. We're going to wrap this sucker up right now. We'll see you guys on the back end of this interview. Stick around because Brad Hicks and I get into it. We talk all kinds of stuff. Is he on board with fucking Skylight Chili or not?
Oh,
you're going to find out.
Bradley.
You're going to find out, Bradley. I love it, guys. We'll be back in a bit. Don't go too far. More Jigs and Bigs coming up right after this. Alrighty, guys. Bobby Roast Beef here with another interview segment. We have a great one right here, guys. I got Brad Hicks. That name might be familiar for you. Brad is one of the hosts over at the Catch Podcast, and we're glad to have him on. This is awesome, man. Brad, how's things going, dude?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there. I had a day today where I went out with a buddy of mine, my oldest fishing buddy, Paul, and we fished a reservoir that I only recently discovered. And I think the state of Connecticut has signage up there that they refer to it, and I might have the wording wrong, as a big bass sanctuary. Like, so there's a slot limit for what you're able to keep and all that stuff. They have specific rules for that and everything. The goal is to grow big bass. And I'm like, this is beautiful. And looking on, some of the data that's out there, it seems like smallmouth are the primary species that people are catching.
The best.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, I'm all about getting that new smallmouth PB. My smallmouth PB is only 17 inches.
Really?
My largemouth is 22.
Yeah,
but
that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm like, that's great. But I was like, I want to get my smallmouth up there. I'm looking to break 20. If I could break 20, that'd be amazing. I'd feel great about that. But we went out today. It's only my second time out there. And this place has a lot of rocks, big boulders and stuff. And then like a lot of like chunk rock, like walls and stuff. And it's deep. It's real deep. But there's all these root balls and submerged timber off of these ledges. And it's just snag city. Well, today, so my buddy today put 3 in the boat. 2 of them were big enough. I was like, look, any big smallies, let's throw them in the live well. Let's get that cheesy picture, and then we'll go back to where we were and we'll release them. He's like, all right, cool. Sounds good. And he put 2 in the live well. I put no bass. I caught a channel cat on, was it a jig? What the hell did I catch? No, it was a finesse swim bait. It was a big Joshy, actually. One of the smaller ones. And I'm like,
you're speaking my language now. I catch a ton of catfish.
I thought so. I thought it was you. I was like, I'm not sure if it was you or Matt that has that.
Not on purpose.
That knack with, yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. It was fun as hell. It was on my BFS rig. And it was, 4-pound fucking fluorocarbon. Like, it was fucking dicey. This was a 14-inch channel cat. I was like, oh, pretty fun. And it worked for me because I was in the multi-species scavenger hunt. So I was able to enter it in there. I was like, well, that's good. If I'm going to not catch the target species, at least I can put them in the boat for a purpose. That's a good thing. So it was just a wild ass day. It was kind of nuts. We were out there for like 5 hours, I think.
Yeah, you mentioned the slot limits. We don't have anything like that here in Ohio. It kind of sucks.
Yep.
Like, you can keep anything above 12 inches, I think, or something stupid here.
It's not common, and that's kind of how it is here. There's like a minimum length, which I think is insane. I think they should actually set a maximum length. You know what I mean? Because I think the minimum is going to figure itself out. Most people are going to be like, oh, that's not big enough to eat, and release it. You know what I mean? But I think setting a maximum length would actually be a better move. But I don't like, it's so crazy. I think about these and I'm like, these
bureaucratic bullshit going on. I don't know what's good.
And then I talk to these folks that work for like Mass Wildlife, and I'm like, holy fuck, you're super intelligent and aware of what the fuck's going on. Like, there's like a disconnect. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I've been down to Dale Hollow, and it's the same way. I think you got to release everything that's between like 15 and 20 inches or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why that fishery's so good. I love going down there.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Like, that's what it's all about. It's kind of nuts. I was watching a YouTuber. I think his channel name is Bass and Trout, and he does like a lot of like camping. I want to say he's in like Montana, like wherever he is, and he's making his content. It's freaking beautiful.
Yeah,
and he does a lot of truck camping, and he goes and he fishes for a lot of trout. Does a little fly fishing, some conventional fishing. Really mixes it up. And he was doing this video, and he was at a campsite, or he was in the woods camping at a spot where people had, dispersed camp previously. And he came across like an 18 or a 20-inch brookie that somebody had attempted to fillet and was like, nah, and just chucked it in the woods. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I just don't get it.
And we don't have many trout here either. Ohio sucks.
You guys don't have much for trout, really?
No
really. Shit. Huh.
I mean, I got one river here, and they don't really get that big. So,
and that's the other part of it too. It's like most of them are stalkers, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's like, I mean, I don't know if you guys have that. Like recently, Joe Cermelli had done a podcast, and he's based in New Jersey, about the stalking trout culture, like opening day, like when you have that first sweep of stockings that go around in all these, all these locations all over your area, there's like, it brings out a different angler,
mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's kind of crazy. Everybody wants to catch the breeder, this was my year. I caught the breeder this year. I caught a 24-inch brown in April.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. I've never caught a trout.
No. Oh man. That's my new passion, man, is trout fishing with BFS.
I bet.
Oh.
I heard that's getting real popular.
Dude, it is nuts. And it's so funny. Like I it's the internet. They like to devise, groups against each other. Like, is BFS ever going to, overtake spinning rods? No, absolutely not. They're totally different animals.
Mm-hmm.
But like, man, it is so much fun. It's just a blast.
I haven't caught a fish on BFS yet, but I've thrown mats, and it's ridiculous how far you can cast like a 32 ounce.
Oh, like
32 ounce Ned head or something.
Oh yeah, like with no effort.
It's crazy.
That's beautiful, man. So this segment is a little bit different than some of the other stuff. It's a little bit more of like an angler profile, which is kind of good because I've been listening to the Catch for quite a bit, and I've been listening to you guys for a little bit. And I don't know, there might be some things that maybe I've just missed in other episodes, but this is an opportunity for our listeners to get to know Brad Hicks as an angler, and also, as a podcaster and all this other stuff as well, because it's all related. Mm-hmm. So let's go. We'll start from the very beginning. Why don't you tell me like that origin story, like how it all first started for you? When did you get into fishing? When did you get into a kayak for the first time? And was it always all about rivers and always all about bass? Kind of walk us through how we got to this point today, where now you're hosting the Catch podcast. You've got like, it's taken off. Like I hear like the sponsors and the stuff that you guys have running, and it's good for you guys, man. You're absolutely killing it.
Thanks, appreciate it. So like most people, I've started fishing when I was young. My dad took me to like lakes and stuff all around Ohio. And then there was a point in time where he sold his boat and we didn't fish for, 10, 15 years. So then I ended up moving out on my own when I was like early 20s or whatever, got my own apartment. Actually, my roommate was Matt, who's the co-host with me on the Catch podcast. So we got some stories. I'm sure you guys hear different, like you hear them every now and then, but it was that point in time I ended up starting to hit the river because I got bored, So,
oh yeah,
I mean, like we all we did was basically sit there and play Call of Duty all the time. I was like, I'm getting bored of this.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go to the river. So I went to the river and like I just kept going back to the same spot over and over and over, and I kept getting skunked. I was like, what's going on here? So then, like, I saw these two guys in a kayak. Well, two guys in two separate kayaks, and they were on Jackson's. This was in 2014 or 13 or something.
Oh, okay. All right.
So they had the Koosas, I think the originals.
Yep.
I was like, man, that looks awesome. So I ended up getting a kayak. I think my mom bought it, and I bought it from her or something like that. It was like a sit inside Pelican Trailblazer 100.
Yep.
Hated it.
Yeah.
I mean,
the jam.
Yeah, I wore that thing out until I got a new kayak, but I upgraded from that to like a Perception Access 11.5.
Yep.
Didn't have that one very long, maybe about a year. And then I finally got my first like quality fishing kayak, which was an Old Town MX, Predator MX, that came out that year.
Oh, nice.
So I think it was 2016 or 2017. I don't know.
Yep.
They don't make them anymore. So I was in that for a few years. I love that kayak. Well, I got the opportunity after I won like a local tournament up here. I got the opportunity to represent a kayak shop, and they were going to put me in a bonafide. So I was like, all right, I've never tried a bonafide, but
we'll give it a go.
Yeah. So they put me in one and let me paddle around for a little bit and stuff. And I was like, you know what? This is awesome. So they put me on their fishing team and was in a bonafide for a few years. I ended up getting in on the bonafide team, and shortly after that, I quit bonafide. I was like, yeah, this team stuff's not for me. It's whatever.
Yeah.
But I've bounced through so many kayaks though. I've had like new canoe, Pursuit, Hobies, whatever. I don't.
That's awesome though, because you have perspective, and as somebody that's like, now, were you doing tournaments? When did you first get into tournament fishing?
Tournaments, 2019 and 2020.
Oh, okay. All right, so that's more recent. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it's funny because like what you're saying, like the team stuff isn't for you. I totally get that. You know, it's nice to have like that broad appeal, but also like as a content creator, if somebody has a question about a kayak, you've got experience. Like as we're in my own situation, the only thing I can tell somebody is, listen, I've been in a native Titan for the last 4 years, and I love it. It's great, but you know, it's all I have experience with, you know? And so like for me, like if I'm making a recommendation to somebody, I kind of have to go blind a little bit and just go with the stuff that I've researched, and it's not necessarily firsthand experience. But that's cool that you've got that ability to then like say, oh yeah, well, you know, you might want to check out this Wilderness Systems, or you might want to check out this. There's this one feature specifically that kind of works for what you want to do. That's pretty sweet. Yeah,
and that's exactly kind of what led me to getting off the bonafide team. And so I'm going to throw bonafide under the bus a little bit here.
Fair enough, man. We like a little scandal.
I was on their fishing team, and people were asking questions in the owners group. So I'm not going to lie to people. They're like, how does it paddle? I'm like, the thing paddles like crap. Well, they got mad at me for that. I'm like, I'm not going to lie to people.
Yeah, exactly. You really can't. And it's tough with bonafide because back then they didn't have a pedal option, did they?
Nope, not yet.
And that's tough, you know.
Yep.
It really is.
The SS-127 and the 107 was the only two they had at the time.
Yep, that's challenging.
And I think they came out with the RS shortly after that.
Yep.
I don't know.
Were they always owned by Big Adventure and then they acquired Native, or was it the other way around?
Nope, they were their own company. They were actually owned by the guy who owned Yak Attack before he sold it.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. All right.
His name was Luther Cyphers, and they ended up selling bonafide to Big Adventures in like
2020
October,
or 2021.
It was October. It might have been 2019.
Oh, 2019. No shit.
Yeah.
Huh. It's funny because that makes sense about when they took over for Native too. And if you talk to some of our previous co-hosts, you're going to hear that's when it all went to shit. I disagree.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think, you know, that's just it's a business transaction that happens in the, you know, capitalist market. You know, it is what it is. And they got to work out some kinks.
Yeah. And that they weren't the only company that happened to. I mean, there was a bunch of different companies like grouping up together that year. It seems like I forget. Old Town acquired a couple brands. Perception did the same thing. I don't know.
It's funny too with a company like Old Town. Old Town's been around for generations. You know, primarily like in the canoe game for the most part. You know, and then they kind of had that partnership with LL Bean, which if you're in New England, holy shit. You know, I mean, that's all you ever want. but like they've always kind of been in that space. And it's funny too. Like I feel like your introduction to kayak fishing and my introduction to kayak fishing were pretty much the same thing. Because when I first had gone out, I was fishing a river, the Connecticut River, locally in my area. And I remember the day I was out with my buddy Paul, and this dude comes out. And he's loading up this sit-on-top kayak, and he's like rigging with like all of this. And at this time, this was like 2012. And it was probably about 2013 or so. And he's rigging up this like what I didn't realize at the time was a milk crate that he had rod holders and things and all this. And he's putting this all together, and it's all looked like so unbelievably well dialed. And I was like, that's the move.
Yep.
That is the move. And he takes off and he goes paddling. And I'm like, so I feel like that's for a lot of folks, it's like the next evolution. You know, you start out on the bank, and bank fishing is great. I still love to bank fish, especially in urban situations where it's like these rando spots. But then you see folks with kayaks, and you're just like, okay, that's where we got to go next. That's the next gradual progression.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just bananas, man. Go ahead.
It's crazy to see the whole progression of the whole kayak industry. Like you've been around it a while too.
Yeah.
Going from paddle to pedal, and now we're at motors. It's crazy what it's become.
Yeah. It seriously is. Like, I'd love to get your feedback on this. You know, the buzz about like, oh, is it actually even a kayak? What's the model that everybody's flipping out about? Is it
XTR?
Yes.
The bona fide one.
Yeah, that's right. And they're like, oh, is it even a kayak anymore? And like, somebody had posted something recently, and they're like, what is a kayak? And they looked up like the Google definition of it.
Yeah.
And it said like a kayak is basically a small single person or a tandem vessel with no motor, where the individuals on the vessel sit inside. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And they're like, well, then what's a fishing kayak? And the fishing kayak opens things wide open. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it really does. The terminology is crazy. What's your take on all that stuff?
I don't really care.
I love that.
Like, I know people are like, oh, it's not a fishing kayak. Who cares, man? Don't fish out of it then.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
There's not much else I can say about that.
When people will say all the time, they're like, you know, I'll see people if I'm out with my Titan, and they're just like, oh, that's pretty cool, man. That's such a small boat. I'm like, yeah, it really is. It's like a bass boat for one. It really is. Like me at my frame, I can stand on it comfortably. Like I can do so much. I've got the ability to carry so much gear. And you know, I mean, it's nice. It's pedal power. So it's like, I'm able to get all over the place, get into spots that I can't get with my Lund. You know, I can't do it. But then people are just like, oh, well, at that price, why don't you go buy a boat? I'm like, because it's 6 times more expensive than the hull of my boat and trailer and outboard alone.
I think when people say that, just get a boat, I think they're referring to like John boats or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe they are. But like, even
there's no way that like you're not getting a Ranger for $5,000.
No way. No way, because you can get a fishing kayak of nearly any variety. Like maybe take a pro angler out of the mix. Maybe take a pro angler out of the mix. Yep. Maybe take what's the Titan X go for? Is it like $3,500?
I don't even know. We don't sell them at our shop.
Yeah. So like if you take something like that out of the mix, you know, I mean, for $5,000, you can have a painfully well rigged fishing kayak. Like painfully. Maybe not get into motors necessarily, but you can get into a lot for electronics. You can get into a ton for storage. Like there's a lot that you can do. For $5,000, you're buying somebody else's problems.
Yep.
If you're buying a boat.
Yeah.
You're not buying brand new. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. You'd be buying brand new if at that $5,000 price point. Like you get these folks that are like, they're so focused on price. And that's the one factor. And if that's what's most important to you, fantastic. But like, you can't shit on somebody else that sees value in these other products. You know what I mean? Like it should.
And I can't take a bass boat down the river. On my river, you can't take. You can put in a couple spots. There's 2 boat ramps, maybe 3.
Yep.
Other than that, you're not going to be able to float the sections that I float.
Perfect example, man. You fished the Susquehanna a bunch, right? You're familiar.
I've never fished it.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
No shit. So I did the kayak adventure series this at the Fiesta on the Susky, and we had those ridiculous rains and everything, and by Saturday the river was at like an unbelievable flood stage. They canceled the fishing for that day. It was just kind of crazy, and I had brought my boat down because I wasn't sure exactly what was going down. I was like, I know from experience that my Titan in moderate current situations is not the right boat for that setting. Like, it's just not. It's going to lead to a ton of frustration. And I remember when I first talked to Drew about it, I was like, I'm going to get into it if I can get my hands on like a power pole or something, where I can get into a spot and lock it down, something like that.
Yep.
If I can do something like that, I'll be into it. I would have died out there on that. It would have been so bad. And my thought was, I was like, I'll take my boat, because at least there I've got spot lock on my trolling motor, so I can get into a spot. But again, like it gets crazy shallow. With the water being as high as it was, I probably would have been fine with my deep V, because that's the thing. I don't have a bass boat. I've got a 16 and a half foot deep V that I can get pretty shallow with. If I trim the motor up really, really high and I lift, come up a little bit with the trolling motor, I can get pretty freaking shallow, surprisingly. But like, do I like going anything under like 18 inches deep? No. You know what I mean? So it gets a little bit dicey there, but yeah, we're out there, and like the Army Corps of Engineers shut down all the boat ramps for all the lakes that were like within an hour's drive. It was crazy. So no fishing happened there, but it was nuts. We made, I got, like I said in the last episode, hats off to Drew for like, he delivered on everything the best he possibly could, even where his hands were tied with allowing folks to fish on Saturday. I'm sure there were some of the anglers that were like, we're not fishing on Saturday, we're going to bounce. Right. But we still had a group of like 25, 30 people that were at the awards ceremony, and we did fishy trivia there. It was absolutely freaking awesome. So I don't know, it was definitely a good time. But fishing those kinds of situations, and I got to hang out with Jeff Little. Yeah, that was one of the good things. I was going to
say that episode you did was with them was pretty good.
Yeah, it was Jeff he's a wealth of kayak and paddling knowledge just in general. One hell of an angler too, and he may have sold me on an osprey.
Oh,
he might have.
Yeah,
because I'm like, it's 86 pounds. I can put it on the top of my Forerunner. It's doable at that point. So I don't know, man. We'll see. I don't need to be spending more money. They definitely do, and I'm like, they can cart around my fat ass on an inflatable.
Yeah.
Might be a better situation for river usage, but that is one thing. Like, current with me is nuts. Now fishing the river for you, obviously, like, you've learned more about fishing current. What are your favorite things to see when you're on the river? Because I know rivers evolve year to year to year. Like, what are some things where you're like, if you see it, you're just like, that shit's juicy, I'm going to hang out and fish the hell out of this one specific, maybe it's an eddy or a mud line or something like that. What is it you're looking for?
My favorite conditions to fish in are actually what you were talking about on the Susquehanna River, when it's muddy and up and flowing. I like to target grass lines with a chatterbait.
Oh, dude, yeah.
So much fun.
Yep.
But if I'm like fishing clear or something, I like the deep rip-rap looking banks on the outside bend of a river.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I could definitely see that. And it's funny, a lot of the folks that placed pretty high up there, when they were asked about like, oh, what were you throwing? What was getting it done? A lot of folks were saying they were throwing some kind of a bladed jig.
Yep.
And I mean, in those conditions, like clouds, had some wind going, like everything's good. And when it's flowing, I'm a fan of weed lines, I'm a fan of weed. I'm not going to like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The chatterbait bite's not very consistent, at least here, like when the water clears up. I don't know, for whatever reason, they don't hit it as much. I always have to scale down and use the Mini Max, and I always think it's just a smaller profile with a smaller blade. I think the bigger blade just kind of scares them off. But when the water clears up, they're not in those weeds. They're in more harder to find spots, mid-river behind big rocks or whatever like that.
Yep. Yeah, no, that makes sense. What's your like top 3 list of confidence baits that you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna have them tied on?
Oh man, I do this every year, and it's funny. Like I always post the top 5 like on December 31st every year.
Yep.
And the one consistent one's the chatterbait. Another one probably would be the jerk shads, the Z-Man jerk shads.
Oh my god, I love those.
They're so much fun. Like any fluke style bait's fun.
Yep.
And then oh man. That's a little tough this year. Probably a swim bait of some sort. Like I've been leaning towards the Gobius a lot this year.
Oh, really? See, I've got a couple of those and I haven't thrown them. And this new reservoir I've been hitting, I think I'm going to be throwing it quite a bit. That is a beautiful looking setup, that bait.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, that thing gets hammered.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. And it's nice because, it's weedless enough because it's got that dorsal fin that kind of hides that hook. Mm-hmm. And it's just the perfect size. It's compact, but that the short amount of plastic that's on that tail lets it kick like crazy.
Oh yeah,
it's great.
And you don't really have to set the hook hard either, because if you look at the hook, it's like a light wire hook, like the Ned rig.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're just lifting up on it when they bite on it, and
yeah. I probably should have tied that on today. that may have helped out quite a bit, but
I caught a few on it today.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's not a bad thing, man. That's not a bad thing at all. It's funny too, like with bladed jigs, like this year I have really, like every year I try to look at a presentation that maybe needs a little bit of work or something. Like one year it was, big swim baits. I jumped in on that and wanted to kind of dive in. And then this year for me, it's been bladed jigs because I just have a tendency to lose them like crazy. And I realized something, that there is not a one size fits all for every bladed jig. Like there are, like you mentioned, the mini max. Like I've been going and throwing like these really small jackal bladed jigs that are like an 1/8 ounce, and I use them for multi-species. I use them for all sorts of different things, and they just that will get bit when a typical like 1/2 ounce shock blade. That's like my favorite, my go-to. Picasso? That will not. Yep. Oh yeah, I love a Picasso shot. I love Picasso in general. Mm-hmm. Like when you're talking like some kind of a swim bait or something like that. When I'm throwing like a Kitech, I like to throw it on the Picasso, the tungsten ball head jigs. Mm-hmm. They have these 2 titanium weed guards, and they're just out of this freaking world.
Yeah,
and they're nice because you can get every single hook size in every single weight.
Who makes those? Kitech?
Picasso does.
Picasso. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're badass. I think we did that one time as a gear of the week. Yeah, I think they're awesome. I saw a video on YouTube and somebody was saying, because anytime I can learn more about fishing different because swim baits, and not just big swim baits, but all swim baits, like that's a whole giant amount of knowledge that you can, like there's so many different styles and different rigs that you can throw them on, and it's just unbelievable. Have you gotten into throwing any of the hover rig stuff, like core tackle or anything like that?
I threw it a little bit this year. I caught some fish on it, but it's not for me.
It's I definitely see where something like that would work for like forward-facing sonar when you're fishing like fish that are grouped up in like deeper water, and like you've got to like hold that bait right in there. I think it works perfect. There was a Bass Tricks plastic that came in one of the dark horse. Yes, one of the dark horse.
That's what I was throwing.
Yeah, that's freaking beautiful. I've actually used that for drop shotting too, and it's great.
Huh? It's
fantastic. You need a slightly larger hook.
Yeah.
I think in order to get like a little bit more gap, but yeah, it works out pretty good. I was like, that's a really nice plastic.
That bait is made for the hover rig because like the whole body's hollow inside. I was like, holy crap, dude, perfect.
Yeah, and that core tackle, like that what do they call it? The hover rig jig or something like that, or
oh yeah,
I forget what it's called. I'll have to look it up, but they like it just fits so perfectly. Like it's got this pointed tip at the end, and you just pull the plastic up and over, and it fits so unbelievably well. Like I've tried to actually put that in other plastics, and it looks a little derpy. It doesn't look exactly right, but I'll take it. It's all good.
Derpy. That's awesome.
So I love this. Now we're doing some big stuff at the Columbus Fishing Expo this year as well. I'm actually kind of hoping that we can kind of recreate that after party. And maybe even do it bigger and even better this year. I'm not 100% sure how we're going to do that. I got a couple phone calls I need to make and some brainstorming to do and things like that. But I think I'm going to give myself until wedding season ends and then start formulating a plan for all that. And then, expo season this year is going to be insane. You guys are going to be at the expo as well, right? With Dark Horse. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I think he's going to have us set up. He wants us to do a podcast there while we're there.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's awesome.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely be in the booth. Me and Matt will be in the Loveland canoe and kayak booth, but we'll also be in Dark Horse a little bit too. So
I think what we're going to do is that I know that they're expanding the booth, which I mean, obviously makes sense because I think their inventory has just exploded too over the last year. So, there's talk about there being, a new look and more space, which will be interesting. I'm thinking what we should do is probably record a live episode instead of just doing the interviews MOS. Like that was fun, but like I think it could be even a little bit more interesting to kind of do a little bit of everything. So I don't know. We'll have to brainstorm because there's a lot of possibilities that we can do here. That's one thing I love about Dark Horse is that they really get all of these different media platforms. You know what I mean? They really understand the podcast world. They really understand the YouTube side. They have, they're also like the right age for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, they're definitely that generation that, takes a hold of the technology aspect.
Yep. It's not so common to find somebody my age that gets it even as much as I do. And I don't necessarily get it completely all the time. I mean, I'm showing my age. I think every year goes by. It's only going to be, it's not going to be long before this old son of a bitch gets canceled, but it is what it is.
You're a podcaster. You can't get canceled. They're not regulated.
That's true. That's true. There is no regulation. And for that, we thank you. I like that. Let's get into some weird shit. I like to, one of my favorite things about fishing is the social aspect. It's the reason why I went out and bought a boat, was so that I could actually fish with people. It's my favorite thing to do. If you had to put together a list of folks that you could fish with, they could be living or dead, like a top 3 or even a top 5. Who would those people be that you would love to get on the water with?
Dude, just put me on the spot.
Totally. It's what I do.
Oh, man. I don't know. Like,
they could be pros, they could be celebrities, shit.
I've said this on another podcast before. What's that?
I've debated asking this question and going, if you could pick 3 porn stars that you want to fish with, who would they be? And just to see where people's niche is. You know what I mean?
Lance Hardwood. That's off of How I Met Your Mother, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, I don't really get starstruck by famous people though, so it's this one's kind of hard for me.
I get starstruck by weird fucking people.
I don't know. I think Matt Robertson would be fun to fish with. Bassmaster Elite.
Yeah,
that dude's he's goofy as crap. Seems like be my type of people.
Yeah. I could see that. Matt Robertson's good.
Yeah. They also just came out with a YouTube series. I don't know if you saw that, called The Derby Boys. It's him, Seth Feider, and the Johnston brothers.
Oh my God. I can't even believe that. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's badass.
I don't know how many episodes they're in. I watched the first one a couple weeks ago.
I didn't realize that was them. That's freaking crazy.
Yeah. Let's see. Two more?
Yeah, we'll do 2 more.
Oh man.
It could be a past guest that you've had on that you're just like, yeah, I want to fish with this bastard. Or it could be someone that followed like a listener that's reached out in the past and been like, hey, this is,
I talked to Drew Gregory a lot, so I'd probably put him up there. I would like to take him down the river here and just see how he fishes my river.
Yep.
I've talked to him about it before because he only lives like 3 hours away from me. He's like, yeah, I need to come down there. I'm like, I'd love to see how you fish this river and see how I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's pretty badass.
Yeah. And then third one. Donald Trump. No, I'm just joking.
Wow. Nobody's ever said that.
I'm just joking. Got you off guard.
I might actually dip into some AI software and make an opener for the show based on that. That is fucking hilarious.
You should.
When it comes to kayak fishing, I am the best that there is. I invented kayak fishing.
Oh man, that's awesome.
I won't tell Joe. I'm just gonna play it and he'll be like, "What?"
Oh man. Third one. Let's go. Let me see. I don't have anybody up here. I got a bunch of pictures or stickers and stuff up here.
Oh yeah.
Man, I don't know. I can't think of a third one.
Oh, no worries, dude. No worries at all. So let's shift gears and let's talk food. Because that's one thing that every angler, regardless if you're a carp angler, a catfish angler, a tournament bass fisherman, just a weekend warrior that just wants to put something on a hook, everybody loves to eat. We all need to eat.
Yep.
So one of my things that I look at is I have this weird thing. I never eat before I fish. Or generally speaking, like first thing in the morning, I don't have like a big glass of water. And then that's what I have for the day until I'm off the water. Once I'm off the water, it's like it's either a reward or a punishment, depending on the situation, So what's your like go-to like mom and pop spots? That's what we really want to spotlight here. But like if you're like that's not my bag, like and it's a fast food joint, that's fine too. Like what's your go-to spot like that you're using to either celebrate a PB or just absolutely punish your body with for a crushing blow?
Probably like this really nasty, greasy pizza here in Ohio called Cousin Vinny's. Like
Cousin Vinny's. I love that.
It's near University of Dayton here, so it's like known as the pizza that you eat when you get drunk. Like the college student just orders it. It comes with a big, large pizza and 2 drinks and breadsticks with nacho cheese. Oh, now I want some.
I actually think I've had that.
Really?
I'll have to look into it. So, little backstory. Back in like late 2020, my wife and I, we went and we got another dog. We have Boston Terriers, right? And my wife was like, yeah, COVID's kind of put me through the ringer. We need another dog. I was like, okay, cool. So we went out to Dayton and we got our youngest Boston, Eleanor, right? Derpy as can be. She's epileptic. It's ridiculous. Like super hands-on. And we drove from Western Mass to Dayton in one trip, drove all the way out there, slept in Dayton at this hotel and woke up the next morning bright and early, checked out immediately. I think it was like 7 a.m. Right? Got the dog, drove all the way back home. It was the worst 48 hours of my life. It was like absolute. Oh my God, it was the worst. And that night that we got into town, we had like a pizza special that was like the pizza, breadsticks, and drinks. And that might have been it.
It might have been.
It might have been it.
Super
I also
greasy.
think super greasy. And I believe I also destroyed the bathroom at a Tim Hortons along the way, spackling the bowl in their men's room pretty bad. And I was like, that's what I get for ordering that pizza. Holy shit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a horrible human being, Brad. Terrible.
Well, you mentioned the toilet bowl splatter thing. So this is just something stupid we used to do. We used to go into like Taco Bell or whatever, and we would take the hot sauce packets, twist them in half, and then fold them and put them under the toilet seat.
So when you sit on it, they just, oh, dude, that's genius.
We did that at a Taco Bell near Kings Island, which is an amusement park down here near Cincinnati. After I got done eating, I went in to check to see if anybody sat on it. Somebody sat on it. It blew all over the sides of the toilet, all over the outside of the toilet. I was like, yes.
I have to fucking do that. I have to do that. Can you imagine the panic of some poor motherfucker when they're just like, oh my God, what did you do?
Somebody was probably pissed.
How many times has the Taco Bell fucking consumer hotline been called and they're like,
I had one of your burritos and now I'm shitting blood.
Like, how many times is that fucking? That's fucking terrible, dude.
That's hilarious.
Oh, Jesus Christ! It's the first interview I've ever done where I've said the phrase "shitting blood." So hey,
And out of all the people that taught me how to do that, it was my dad.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. That's good parenting right there.
And if you knew my dad, you would be like, "Holy crap, that's crazy!" Because he's like a pretty really strict religious man.
Oh, really?
Yes, he taught me how to do that.
That is so freaking funny, man. Oh, dude, I'm gonna have to do that. Yeah, I do. I think I've eaten at Cousin Vinny's. I think it was, and it was not. It did not end well. I mean, pizza was fine. I could definitely see where college students would love that.
Yeah,
because the price was right and all that shit. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and you get to keep the cups and stuff. I mean, they're plastic cups. It says Cousin Vinny's on it. And when me and Matt were roommates back in the day, we had a whole dishwasher full of Cousin Vinny cups one time.
Oh, that's awesome. Because that's what you do. You're like, hey, we're having a bunch of people over. We need some glassware. Looks like we better order a few pizzas because it comes with the drinkware already ready to go.
Yeah, I got a picture somewhere on Facebook of it, but it's hilarious. Like the whole dishwasher's full of cups, and then there's cups on the counter. Awesome. We ordered it 2 or 3 times a week.
Oh, geez. That's awesome. I love it. Let's talk now. How much traveling have you done to fish? Have you primarily fished in Ohio?
Yeah, I don't do much traveling. I'm a homebody. And
gotcha.
When I travel, I don't know. Well, recently I went to Grand Rapids recently, and I went down to Raleigh recently. And I was fine, but before that, I think it's because of the medicine and stuff I'm on. But before that, I always got really anxious and nauseous and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Yeah,
so I really haven't traveled much.
Gotcha. Are there any bodies of water that you're like, yes, I would love to fish these spots, like a checklist or a bucket list that you places that you'd love to visit?
Oh yeah, Boundary Waters, the Susquehanna, Wisconsin River. I would really like to go down to Gunnersville and then Clear Lake, the Delta.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I think the big one's the Boundary Waters. Oh, Wisconsin River. I think me and Matt's going up there for this kayak adventure series in a few weeks.
Oh, really? Yeah. Nice.
So I want to hit that.
I think you guys
too.
will have a good time. That's awesome. Wisconsin is an interesting state. It's on my radar. It's. I think a lot of people when they think one of the fishiest northern states, they automatically think oh, Minnesota, it's the spot. Blah blah blah. But I think Wisconsin is often overlooked as a fishy freaking state. It really is. You know what I mean? I'd love to, now that I got the rig that I've got, I'd love to go and take a trip. And it would have to be a week or something. I'd have to be able to carve out the time and make it worth it to do. But drive out and camp in the Upper Peninsula and take the boat with me and just go to spot to spot to spot. There's folks in Wisconsin that listen to the show regularly. I'd love to network with and get out on the water with them and fish and just check out all these bodies of water. And I did a trivia question one time where it was Minnesota is known as the land of 10,000 lakes, but in all actuality, Wisconsin has more.
Really?
Yeah, it has more by a good amount.
I've fished in Minnesota. I drove all the way out to western Minnesota to hang out with a buddy that I met over Xbox Live. He let me stay at his lake house.
Oh, dude, that's nice.
Yeah, it was cool. But I fished out there on a lake that he has the lake house on. Did awesome. I didn't even want to come back to Ohio. I was like, this blows Ohio away. But dude, it seems like there was a lake every quarter mile driving out there. I was like, holy crap. That neck turn, you're like, I'd fish that. I'd fish that. As you're driving, it's probably the number one cause of auto accidents among anglers. Yeah,
I'd fish that. Oh, I could launch that. I could launch in there.
Well, I'm the type of guy that goes over a river on a bridge, and then I almost come to a complete stop and just go
and leer over the. Yeah, I do the same thing, man. It's crazy. Let's talk. One question before we move on from Minnesota. I've heard before that the Minnesota state bird is actually the mosquito. Can you confirm that?
Mosquito?
Yeah, they're huge.
No, I thought it was the loon.
Oh, it might be. Legitimately, it might be the loon, but like the locals,
okay, gotcha.
The locals say like, oh, the state bird's the mosquito. Like they're fucking huge out there from what I understand.
I got eaten up by horseflies when I was out there.
I hate those fuckers.
Oh my gosh, dude. I had welts. I had welts the size of quarters all over my legs. It was ridiculous.
I can remember when I was a young kid, my parents' house, they had a pool. And the pool is set off right near the wood line. And I would be in the water with only my head exposed, and I would get horseflies that would just come and just bang right off. It was ridiculous. It was the worst.
Those things are nasty. Ugh.
They really are. They really, really are. How about bucket list species of fish? Is there anything that you haven't caught yet? Is there a specific catfish you'd like to snack?
No, I'm done with catfish. Throw them on the bank.
Oh, dude.
Dude, I've caught my biggest flathead catfish I've caught was a 38 incher. It was probably 15 pounds.
Shut up.
On a Tokyo rig.
Oh my god, dude.
On an inflatable kayak.
On an inflatable? Oh my god.
So it took me half a mile upstream, half a mile downstream.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Those are strong ass fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I got a picture of me standing up holding it, and it's crazy.
That's insane, man. We have a regular listener to the show and an absolute hammer in the multi-species scavenger hunt, John Hagens. He's an Ohio guy. Fishes a lot of carp and catfish stuff. Loves flathead. I wish we had anything but just channels here. That's all we have for catfish are channels. And then, we've got bullhead, a variety of different bullhead and stuff. And that's fine. But I would love to I'd love to catch a big blue,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Or a flathead, just amazing. There is a river catfishing technique that I do want to try where when I bought my boat, I say all the time, I started drinking the Lund Kool-Aid hard. And I was watching a lot of their content. And one of the things that in one of these videos, they would put the boat up near a log jam, spot lock the boat right there. And then they would just take cut bait and put it on trailers on bass jigs and flip right in there. And I'm like, dude, that makes so much more appealing method to me to fish. For catfish, because you're getting that reaction bite, but you can't throw a circle hook in there. It's gonna snag immediately,
Yep. Yeah, and I don't know where I was going with that.
We were talking about are there any species that you haven't caught that you are looking to catch that you'd love to throw on the board?
Probably a peacock bass.
Yeah,
those things look cool.
They look.
I've never
very,
actually
very
caught
cool.
I've never caught a true striper either. I've caught hybrids, but not a true striper.
All right. See, I've never caught a striper either.
Man, and you're on the coast too, aren't you?
I know. Well, it's funny because I just people around here, you say you fish and all right, this is going to come out and I don't want to offend anybody, but you say you fish and they're like, oh, you fish for stripers, kid, huh? How the stripers running? Or they're all asking oh, you going to the canal out by the Cape? You going to go to Cape Cod, catch some stripers? And I'm like, no. And I live right on the Connecticut River, and they run right. And actually, I live right at the Connecticut River, right where the dam is at Route 116, where it's the upper Connecticut River, and the striper will run all the way up there. And yes, they'll get, up there through the fish ladder and stuff, but not all of them. That dam is a great spot to catch stripers. A great spot. No interest. Just, I don't know what it is. And maybe I just need to get a little bit more brave with the boat next year and just put myself in that spot and just freaking go for it. But I'm I'd almost rather go catch snakehead, to tell you the truth.
That'd be cool too. I'm not a big dam fisherman. I try to stay away from them. I don't like it. Too many people, too many snags.
A lot of snags, yep, for sure. They just hold fish, and that's the risk and reward, I guess, with it all that makes it kind of appealing for some folks, but a little bit challenging at the same time.
Yep.
That's freaking bananas.
I follow a guy that is actually from your neck of the woods, and he carves his own plugs. I think he surf fishes for stripers.
What's his name?
Franktown on Instagram, I think.
Oh, yeah. I've seen his
Frank
stuff.
Calves or something like that.
Let's look him up. I'm totally nerding out right now.
Yep, Frank Goncalves. Yeah, he catches some monsters, and it looks awesome.
Oh yeah, yep, yeah, he does. Yeah, absolutely. So we had a guest on recently. This guy Roy, and I'm gonna massacre his last name. I think it's Leva, and he's a Shimano pro staffer, and he lives in the area. He's originally from the eastern part of the state, and he's in the area. And this one day I had this absolute like lights out fishing day. It was the day that I caught my newest PB. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go and reward myself with the finest pepperoni slice of pizza at Cumberland Farms. And I go over there and I pull up, and I've got my kayak behind me on the trailer. I'm at the gas pumps, and I'm like, I'm going to get gas while I'm here and everything. And I noticed this dude's Jeep, and it's just all tricked out, but it's all fishing stickers. And in his what do you call it? His Instagram tag is on there, and I'm just like, this sounds so familiar. I gotta look this up. And I'm like, screw it. We'll go ahead. We'll check it out. So he happens to come walking out, and you should check him out on Instagram. Off the Hook Fishing. Yeah, Roy Leva. And Roy is like no joke. Like he gets on all the species, and he is like, I like to say this among with folks on our shows, he is among the fishiest of dudes I've ever had on the show. Like just loves to catch it all, you know? Yeah. And I really am afraid for anybody that's in our multi-species scavenger hunt series. I'm really afraid for anybody when he makes that decision to dip his toe into that pool.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, gee, I just don't know. And like, dude, he was a Shimano pro staffer before it was like video content or pictures on social media, when it was like a blog.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's an OG. He told me his age. He's older than I am. I was like, shut the fuck. I thought you were like 33. You know, I was like, seriously. Yeah. I'm like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's just freaking bananas.
Lucky I would be on their pro staff.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know that they pro staff that way anymore.
Probably not. It's probably super hard to get onto.
Probably change things up significantly and everything. Yeah. I had a realization in life that I think the direction I want fishing to go, like some folks are like really all about tournaments, and some folks are all about, you know, a specific species or a specific style of fishing. I think I want to get into guiding.
That'd be cool.
I do. I just I don't live in a spot where there's like what I would consider a destination fishery, you know? Maybe the Connecticut River, but I got to build that experience. So I'm considering like putting some trips together that are more like technique focused, you know?
Yeah. Who's that other guy? There's somebody else I follow from Instagram from Boston. Oh, he catches big ones. His name's Boston Bass God.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude. Like I never knew Massachusetts had those type of fish.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, a lot of people don't realize this, but Massachusetts state record is 15 pounds.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And the reason is and you said Boston Fish God. I guarantee I know where he fishes in the state. Right out by Cape Cod. Yep.
Yeah. Our record is 13, but that's stupid.
Still huge for that far out in the country, you know?
Yeah, but it's stupid. I don't think it should count because it came out of a stupid farm pond. A private farm pond.
Oh, yeah, that makes it tough. Yeah.
The guy probably grew it in his farm pond for like 5 years and then just kept catching it and weighing it.
Yeah, that's a little bit sketch right there. Like, that's one thing. Like, we don't really have farm ponds like that out here. Yeah. Like that. You know, we have plenty of private bodies of water. You know, most of them are just like residential. Yeah. But out there, you have this weird sort of situation where we're located in Massachusetts, like, yeah, we're up north, and yeah, we have winters. We have winters out where I am. If you go a little bit further west up in the mountains in the Berkshires, you got to come fish the Berkshires. I think it's some of the greatest fishing in the world. But you go up there and their winters are totally different. On the Cape and out toward the coast, it's a lot more mild. Oftentimes those ponds may not even freeze, but what makes them so unique is that they have what they call a herring run, which will move herring from one body of water to another. It's like a canal system, you know? And so they set them up. So you have this forage that just gets like pumped in that no other fish in the state ever get to see. So you can go and throw like, chrome with a black back or chrome with a blue back and have it get crushed out by the Cape. But out here, it's more like, what? Because like we don't have shad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I say that. We have shad in the Connecticut River that migrate up. That's it. Okay. So it's a little bit of a different animal. But like out where you guys are, shad is a forage, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've hooked into shad, and it's funny. There's a pond that I've fished before where there was just shad pushed right into the shallow bank, and I just went right up in there and like netted them. I mean,
yeah,
there was thousands,
and they were like 1.5 2 inches, something like that. Yeah, yep. Yeah, we don't have those up here, and that's the thing. Like the herring and the alewives, like they will just get absolutely munched by these big kettle pond bass that are like, holy shit, here's the buffet. And then since the winters are a little bit more mild and things warm up a little bit there earlier, like they have a little bit longer of a feeding window, so they just put on weight.
Yeah,
that's the thing of beauty.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like it was fun. I forget who I was talking to. I think was it Alex Rudd? It might have been. And I think that the Tennessee state record is about the same, 15 pounds. Really? I'm like, no shit, that is wild.
Huh?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Just kind of nuts, man.
I've never actually looked at state by state records.
Yep. So we're gonna play a little game here with you. I think this will be fun. I've had a stretch of folks on that are from Ohio, and we're going to play a game that's Ohio overrated or underrated.
Oh, sweet.
Right? A lot of this is going to be food oriented, so first one, overrated, underrated. Buckeyes, the candy, the confection, not Ohio State's team.
I love Buckeyes.
Dude, right? Come on.
So would I say underrated then?
Yeah, if you think, I would say underrated for that.
I think they're properly rated though. If you talk to everybody here,
everybody there, what's funny, man? You know who's one of the biggest proponents of well, not somebody you would know. It's an old boss I used to have back in the day. This motherfucker was a Houston native, and he was like, "Oh, Buckeyes, dude." I think.
Really?
I used to run TV stations. I used to do operations for television stations all over the place. One of the stations I used to run was an affiliate out of Youngstown. And it was owned by, I think, was it Media General at the time that owned it. And we used to just do all of the operations in a hub. So we would, with fiber connection and stuff, we would run these remote. And I think he went out there, and I think that might be where he was introduced to Buckeyes. And you would have thought he grew up in Ohio.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. Yeah, I think that they're underrated, to tell you the truth.
I got a couple stories about Buckeyes. So my sister came home from college one year for Thanksgiving. She brought a friend from Minnesota. We had Buckeyes as a dessert. She didn't know what they were. I've never heard of these.
I can't believe that.
That's what I said.
Locally, there are people like in New England that are just like, what? Like, I'll give you an example like this. Do you know what a fluffernutter is?
Yeah, peanut butter and or Nutella and marshmallow.
Oh, Nutella. That's like next level. Normally
peanut butter
it's
and marshmallow.
Butter. Yeah, normally it's peanut butter, but yeah,
I've heard
Nutella,
both ways.
Extra. Huh. All right, that's interesting because that's like the Massachusetts state sandwich.
Oh, I've never had one, but
I think you would love them.
I probably would.
I bet you would. Next one, overrated, underrated. And I think this is a little bit more closer to you. Skyline chili.
Overrated.
Get this man a trophy.
Okay. So go ahead and expand on that a little bit. I'm curious.
I don't know. It's just, I'm not a spaghetti guy. Like I don't know, the chili is just, The conies are great. I'll say the conies are great, but like the chili conies. And the spaghetti,
The conies? What's a coney?
Just a 6-inch hot dog, I guess, and they pile it with cheese, dude. Oh, yeah. Big mountain of cheese on it. That's good.
I could get into that 100%. I'm all about. I had a team this week that won first place at trivia, and it's a couple. So they normally play as a team called it's like Alan the something lobster, and this one night he called himself Alan the stab you whole ass lobster. And then she was like, I'm going to play by myself tonight. So she logged in as a team and she's like, I can't think of a team name. Put something in. And he put in this team name. And every time I read it, I did it in this voice. I was like,
I love hot dogs.
and she won first place and won like 4 tickets to go see Skinnerd and ZZ Top.
Nice.
It was pretty badass. I was like, that's kind of cool, man. If I didn't have something going on that night, I might take those tickets off your hands. Because I got a feeling she doesn't give a fuck about either one of those bands. But I'd love to see ZZ Top.
Take her on a date.
Yeah. Alan to stab you whole ass lobster.
I love hot dogs.
That's awesome.
Oh God. Yeah, I can get down with some conies. That makes sense. I don't understand the chili spaghetti phenomenon, but like Skyline chili on its own, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. My wife actually had it for dinner tonight. She was like, you want it? And I'm like, you go get it. I'm getting Chipotle.
There you go.
I love Chipotle. Oh, so good.
Oh my God. There's a fucking old Vine, this kid, and he's just like,
I love Chipotle. Oh my God.
That was probably me.
Jesus Christ. If you ever play Fishy Trivia again, I'm going to put that on as a buzzer, and that's going to be it. That's going to be it.
I'll play it again someday, for sure.
What was your team name back then? Were you like, yeah, what was your team name at Fishy Trivia?
Team name? I don't remember.
I forget. It was fucking good. Smallmouth something.
Me and Matt on a team together?
I think it was the two of you guys together, unless you played individually.
I don't even remember.
There were a lot of like that show was insane. I could go back and listen to it. I want to say it was like Smallmouth Rocks My Socks or something like that.
Oh yeah, Matt came up with that. Smallmouth rocks my cocks.
That's what it is. There we go.
Yep.
Oh, I freaking love it, dude. That is absolutely a thing of beauty. Oh, good Lord, man. Let's talk. Let's see. Where was I going here? What are we doing for time? We're doing pretty damn good. Let's talk.
Underrated? Oh.
Yeah, overrated, underrated. We got Skyline Chili. Actually, why don't you hit me with some Ohio shit, and I'll let you know if I think it's overrated or underrated. And keep in mind, this might be coming out of sheer ignorance and just wanting to judge, which New Englanders are
so good at.
Like anything Ohio related?
Anything Ohio related.
Cincinnati Bengals.
Overrated.
Yes.
Okay.
I hate the Bengals.
Are you a Browns guy?
No.
Okay.
I'm a Steelers fan.
Oh, duh. Yeah, I could see that. All right. Okay. Fair enough. Nice.
Oh man. Lake Erie.
Lake Erie, underrated.
I've been up there once, so I can't really say.
I would say underrated. I think like there are folks that go up there. Like we had Caitlin Conti on, and I mean, granted, she fishes more in Pennsylvania. You know, but like I would probably say underrated. That's one of the reasons why I bought the boat that I did as well versus getting a bass boat, was so I could do big water on like the right conditions.
Yeah.
You know, go and check that out. So yeah, I would say Erie's underrated.
Yeah. I have this weird thing where like I don't really claim Erie as Ohio, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
Everybody else does. I don't know. It just shares a border. Like,
and it's not a huge amount. I don't think, let me take a look at the map. I don't know that it's a huge amount necessarily that it shares.
It's just like the whole top part. That's it.
Yeah. Let's go ahead. We'll zoom this bitch out. Oh, what is going on upstairs? We'll zoom way out. There we go. Erie. Oh, yeah, you're right. It's like the hat. It's actually a pretty good amount. Oh, but yeah.
It does go
Cleveland,
pretty
Ohio.
far out. Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
But everybody's like, oh, Ohio fishing's great. Lake Erie. I'm like, yeah. When you talk about Ohio fishing, I always think of like inland Ohio.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think so.
Inland Ohio's not good.
It's like when I say stuff about fishing in the Northeast and people immediately start talking about saltwater.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe someday I will, but I just don't, Yeah. It's too much live bait culture for me.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not my thing with saltwater, And it's got nothing to do with it being live bait. It's just, I like the challenge. I think it was Andrew Hayes that put it the best. He was like, using artificial lures is like, as an adult, being able to go out and like break out your toy box and use these like artificial pieces of a puzzle to try to catch a wild animal. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I love it. That's why I love it. Let me put this plastic and this metal and this weight together, to make it work. Oh, I got an idea. Let's take a deflated koosh ball and put it around there like a skirt. And then, yeah, that looks like a bluegill. No, asshole, it doesn't. But I managed to convince this largemouth that it did,
Yeah. I just don't want to dip my hands in like a bucket of worms like every 5 seconds, or chicken liver and then spraying it with WD-40.
You ever catfish and use dough bait, like stink bait?
Yeah, I have before, yeah.
It smells like you've exhumed a body. It's the worst smelling stuff. And it doesn't leave your nasal passages for like 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's gotten to the point where, like, when I would go and take like essential oils and put them in my mustache so I can have like peppermint to kind of cover, it is so ghastly. And you know what? I've never caught any fish on it.
I was going to say, do smelling salts. That'll make it go away quick.
Oh, that'll make it go away real quick. Cocaine. That'll work too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always fun.
That's always a good time when catfishing. Hey, did you guys go out and see the guys catfishing underneath that bridge? It looks like they've eaten a bunch of powdered donuts. I can't figure it out.
That's a typical day here in Dayton, Ohio.
Yes.
Run into somebody under the bridge.
See, that's the thing. I feel like Dayton and I feel like Holyoke are brothers from another mother. You know what I mean? Like, our under the bridge culture is very, very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar.
I mean, I've been fishing under a bridge before, and people would be like, I would catch a fish, and they'd be like, "Can I have that?" I just look at them and I throw it back while I'm staring at them.
It's the best. Like, you don't break eye contact, and you're like,
"Yep,
bam." I love that. I'm here for that. Oh, beautiful. Brad, this was absolutely awesome, dude. There are 2 questions left that I need from you. I need to know 2 stories, because that's really what this is all about, 2 stories. I want that moment when you're out on the water that you're most proud of. It might be your PB. It might be like where just things went to shit and you had to like put the pieces back together and kind of save the day. And then I need the biggest sort of like the epic fail,
All right. The coolest memory that I can think of right off the bat is when Matt caught his first 20 on the river.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I can see that.
So I took, like, he just started getting in the river fishing the last 2 or 3 years, something like that, because I've been taking him out and stuff. And so, like, his learning curve, per se, like, is not as long as others. It took me 8 years to catch my first 20.
Yeah.
It only took him 2 or 3 years. So when he caught that first one on a chatterbait right up against grass where I was telling him like he should cast, he caught that. We got it on video and he measures it. He's like, "It's a 20. He's like, "It's a 20. Let's go." And then we both high five. That was probably the coolest memory.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
I love that.
I think he has it posted on his Instagram too. I'll have to go back and find it and send it to you.
That's my sort of favorite thing, is when I'm fishing with somebody else and they break some kind of a record of sorts, And
unless it's a buddy that has already caught a 20.
Oh, then fuck that guy.
Yeah. And then you're just like, dang it, I wish that was me.
Absolutely. Like I know, like today when I was out on the boat with my buddy Paul, I know he's laying in the fish and I'm like, I actually cut the lure off. I was like, so here's the thing. I'm going to talk about all of this stuff in the episode, but there was a moment where he caught his first fish. It was the biggest one on, we were fishing topwater. I was throwing a spook, a Czar spook in bone, conditions, all, it made perfect sense. Nothing, not a sniff. He was throwing this prop style bait from Dark Horse. I forget the name of it. And he's throwing this, and this is actually something that he had lost a whopper plopper. Like, we were out fishing, and I was like, hey, dude, just grab my topwater rod. I was like, there's a prop bait on there that I think you will love. And so he grabs that, and he was like, oh, is it all right if I cut this off and put it on my combo? I was like, yeah, go for it. And I was like, in fact, keep it there, because I think you'll do all right. Well, he caught his first. It was the biggest one on that. I was like, you son of a bitch. Okay, great. We'll see what happens. He gets 4 or 5 casts in, then changes the bait. I'm like, Broheem, I'm trying to figure out a pattern, but let's see what you tie on next. I think he tied on a white and chartreuse chatterbait. Hooked up again. I was like, all right, okay, what is it? Is it the noise? Maybe it's the noise. So I grab my chatterbait rod and I start throwing my shock blade, right? Nothing. I cut it off and I put on a white one. Nothing. You motherfuckers.
Probably the cadence, man.
That's all I can think of. That's all I can fucking think of. So I'm like, okay, all right. So he cuts off his chatterbait and decides to throw a spinnerbait now. He puts on a 1/2 ounce white and chartreuse spinnerbait with a white, like, caffeine shad, hooks into a third fish. And I was like, please, dude, do not cut that off. Like, I want to know, what are you doing? Is it exactly that? He gets bit again, misses this fish, and he missed all the rest of them. Wasn't able to get them, but he would get bit on this again. He had like 6 in his tackle box, like in their package. And he's like, dude, he's like, take one. And I was like, all right, cool. So I tie one on, could not get bit. Just couldn't get bit. I'm walking along, but again, like, I'm stoked for him. And I know that there was a point where he was just like, fuck, I hope Bobby catches some fish. I don't know if he can handle this. I'm like, yes, I can handle this. I like to play it up for like the fucking camera and shit in the show, but nothing makes me happier than when other people are actually catching. Like, when I go home with my dad, which is one of the main reasons why I bought the boat. And like, my dad's like, I was putting a night crawler on, he's cracking a beer. He didn't give a shit. And if he sinks into a bunch of bluegill, he is delighted. You know what I mean? And I love that. I'm so stoked. You know, I might catch fewer fish. They might be a wider variety of species, you know, or they might be like in a couple of instances, they ended up being like rainbow trout that I limited out on. And we ended up taking to a picnic, the following weekend as a dip, a rainbow trout dip. It was out of this world with pickled jalapenos. Oh my God. So good. And I'm like, you know, so it's like, yeah, it's all good. But I'm like, I absolutely love when other people catch fish. I talked to my sister last night. I was like, when are we going out? She goes, when the kids go back to school, she's like, one of those mornings we'll go out. I was like, done deal. You know?
Heck yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is always cool being like, even somebody catching their very first fish ever.
That's the greatest feeling.
I took my wife out like years ago, and she caught her very first and only fish she's ever caught. She will never catch another one again. But she was holding the line like this and going, ooh, 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 ooh.
It's the best feeling ever. I fished with one of my old buddies, and he and I, we probably fished together on the bank probably about 6 times or so, at least. And we've never caught a damn thing. We always have a great time, you know? And we have this game that we play when we go out. I'm like, listen, every single fish that we catch, you've earned a rip on the fish whistle, you know? And he's like, all right, cool. Sounds good. We always end up at like the Chinese buffet afterwards, stone sober. Like, okay, so that was no good, you know? And, but we have a good time with it. And then like, we went out on the boat recently. I brought him out this is the first time we were off the bank. And he caught largemouth. Did he also catch a smallmouth? There's a YouTube video of it. He might have also caught a smallmouth. And then a bunch of other like tank sunfish with like the funky foreheads. Like, they were just enormous on like bronco blades for mule fishing. Just slaying them. It was so much fun.
That does sound fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. So what about the epic fail? Like, where did it all go?
Well, it wasn't an epic fail on my end, but it probably for my eyes, because I had to see what was going on.
Oh,
So me and Matt were floating down the river one day. It was a stretch of river that we've never been on. It's a river we don't fish very often. It's, probably 4-mile stretch. It was flowing hard. It was muddy. Hard to fish river. So we just started paddling just to get it over with so we could hit a different river. I was just paddling along here, I look over and there is a dude bent over with another dude standing up behind him, and the other guy's pants were down to his ankles. And I was just like, what in the heck? And then I got past, I turned around, Matt went like this, started pointing over there. He's just like, what? I don't see it. And then he heard him take off into the woods. So I was like, those guys, I just witnessed 2 dudes fornicating in the woods.
Yeah, you did. That is, I mean, that's crazier than any Sean the Fisherman story I've ever heard. And he's got some fucking stories.
Yeah, it was, come to find out, Ryan Dahl, which I think you've had him on your show.
Yep.
The park that we took out, the kayaks is referred to as Pickle Park. And that's
I've
where
heard you guys mention that on the show before.
Yeah. It's like an ongoing joke with us now. So Pickle Park is like a thing for promiscuous activities, I guess.
It's funny because up here we have a highway that runs right through my end of the state, I-91, right? And there's what they call scenic rest areas that are along this highway. And there's a radio host on a local classic rock station, Steve Nagel on Rock 102, good friend of mine, who he refers to this on the air as Swallow Hollow. And I have gone so much where now when I'm meeting somebody to fish up in the Berkshires, there's a rest area on the Mass Pike, I-90, that is in, is it? No, it's not Lee. I think it's Blandford. It's in Blandford, Mass. And it's just a good spot where like generally anybody, it's like right before you're really like in the Berkshires. So I'm like, yeah, let's we'll meet at Swallow Hollow. And people are like, what? And the ones who have heard the radio, Pickle Park. So our Swallow Hollow is your Pickle Park. I can't believe you rolled on them. I couldn't have been quiet. I would have said something like,
hey man, get a room.
Or like, something to the effect of like,
you're not doing it right.
Something like that.
Looking back, I probably should have been like, pump, cheering them on.
They got the honeymoon suite. God, that is hilarious. Oh, I always say that there is a river culture, and I was just talking with Joe, I think it was in the last episode, and I was like, we joke about river culture and how fucking wild it can be at times, the people that you run into. But he was talking about being out on the Connecticut River recently with his wife and daughter, and the river was up and flowing. It was after all that rain. And he goes, he's like, Emma wanted to swim. So we found an island that was kind of sandy, had a little beach. We went up there and there were some people partying and like, they were grilling and bringing us steak tips to try. I was like, dude, that is wild. And now here I am, it's one episode later and I'm hearing about people literally butt humping on the banks of some river outside of Pickle Park.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
We've gone full circle, man.
I don't even want to go back to that river now. Matt won't go. He's like, I'm not going.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine, Brad. My God, man. Well, that is an epic fail. That's one of the best stories I've ever heard for an epic fail.
Speaking of river culture, real quick, I did see a bald eagle today on the river. I got a picture of it.
Oh, dude, I love.
Check it out.
Oh, that's a. Oh, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. I got to see a bald eagle with my daughter. Her first time out fishing with me on the boat. And we were fishing off this little shithole pond, but there's an island there that has a nice drop off on one side and some weeds right before that drop off. It's like the perfect recipe. I've caught some pretty decent fish there. So we're fishing over this one spot and this bald eagle goes flying by and she's like, holy shit, Dad, look at that bird. And like, it's funny, like a lot of folks like a lot of folks even my age have kids younger than I do. Like my oldest, she turns 20 on Tuesday, which is kind of crazy. So like having an adult child is actually kind of cool, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, that is crazy. She's like, what do you think that is? I was like, I think it's a bald eagle. And it happened to fly back over and it was close enough this time. I was like, yeah, you can see. You can tell. She was like, that is absolutely crazy. She made some TikTok and she's like, so the audio was like, my pronouns are America or some shit like that. I was like, all right, whatever, kiddo. She's out of her fucking mind, that kid. I love this kid.
There's a nest out here on the river in Dayton. People bring their like camera lenses that like come out to like 4 feet long and everything. Well, I like to mess with them when I drive by that section of the river. I'll stick my head out the window and yell, "Eagle!" And they'll look over like, where? There's nothing there.
I don't see it. You know, when you held up that picture, I was almost like, that's a really good picture. And then the camera focused and I was like, you motherfucker.
You said this is going to be on YouTube?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll put it on YouTube. That'll be great. It'll be fucking badass. I realized like halfway through, like here I am, like I'm blowing my nose. I'm muting the mic, but I'm right on the camera. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, it is what it is. I'm a human. My God.
You guys can't see the image, but if you go to YouTube and check it out, you'll see what I just showed Bobby.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to track that down, and when I post the cover artwork for the to promote the show, I'll make it a carousel and I'll include that in there. Since you guys all, if you're like, oh yeah, on Instagram, oh what's going on over here? Oh shit, got a bald eagle. My God, Brad, this was absolutely awesome, dude. I'm looking forward to Columbus again. I think this is going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to have ourselves a freaking blast. This time around, I am 100% planning on doing some more like walking around and engaging a little bit more instead of being so booth centric necessarily. Mm-hmm. We'll have ourselves a real good time. I'm hoping we can put together some kind of an amazing, even better after party. And if it's back at Oldfields, I'm all about Oldfields. But if it's back there, I'd love for it to be back there. And if it's going to be elsewhere, we'll keep everybody in the loop. But this would be awesome. Yeah. Do me a favor, though, Brad. Let folks know where they can track you down on social media, where they can check out the podcast, any of the content that you have going on. Go ahead and let folks know where to find you.
Podcast is on Apple and Spotify. That's what we promote the most.
Yep.
The Catch Podcast. We're river guys, so we talk a lot of smallmouth fishing, but we also talk to, I don't know, we do a bunch of stuff on there. You can find me on Instagram, Brad Hicks Fishing, same on TikTok, which I don't really do much on. Don't add me on Facebook, because I probably won't add you. Yeah. That's for family.
Gotcha.
But that's
I'm all about that.
Oh, YouTube. Yeah, Catch Podcast or Catch TV on YouTube.
I'll tell you what, and the YouTube feed of your podcast is entertaining as shit. It is great. It really, really is. Like there's a whole other side of it. I'm like, this makes sense. And you guys do a show that's digestible for video. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to watch a 3 or 4 hour long podcast of Jigs and Bigs and Joe and I going like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's no fun. But you guys, you have it in a way where like you could sit down and actually watch this, and it's quite good.
Yeah, thanks. I'm surprised people even watch it. Actually, like the only reason we put it on there is to like drive traffic to our fishing videos or whatever. You know what I mean?
And that's exactly why I'm doing it. Is like with the YouTube channel. Is like so I'll put the podcast there. If that's what you like, then go ahead. We get some views over there for that. Yeah. I mean, we just feed the RSS feed, so it's the audio with just a still image of the artwork on there. And we get listens that way, which is awesome, but we love it. But then what's nice with the YouTube channel is like I've been doing these fishing vlogs, and it's sort of like a little behind the scenes. So this way folks can go and kind of like check it out and see what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
I love it, dude. I freaking love it. This is absolutely awesome, dude. We will do me a favor. Send me a picture of you holding just an absolute beast or that flathead or whatever. Oh, and I'll use that for the artwork for this episode.
All right, sounds good.
I love it, dude. Thanks so much for doing it, man. This is going to drop on Tuesday. It's going to be badass.
Heck yeah!
And you know what? I think I don't know if it'll work for. I don't know if it'll work because you guys don't get ice out where you are.
Not really.
Fishing in February is going to be absolute hot garbage.
Yeah, up north in Ohio, they get ice, but down here, we don't really.
Huh.
We're lucky to get 5 inches, like on a good winter.
I was thinking about maybe taking the boat, and maybe we would get a little group of us out.
Could do that.
That could be interesting.
Or
maybe I convince
bring
Joe
the
to do
kayaks,
something.
and we can take you river fishing for winter smallies.
Oh, God, that could be so brutal.
It's
With the
brutal,
Titan.
but man, when
Yeah.
you catch a good one, it's so.
Oh, yeah,
rewarding.
I'm sure it is. Like, we talked about doing a bank send last time, but there just wasn't enough time.
Yeah.
You know, so I say that like, it'd be great to get together and fish. Although, you guys are only a 10-hour drive, 12-hour drive
know
away
that.
from me. It's not that bad.
Huh.
Like, I'll do 15 hours in one trip.
Mhm.
No big deal. Like going to the Susky, it was only like 4.5 hours.
Oh, lucky. We're like
Yeah.
8.
No shit. I didn't realize that you were that far.
Yeah,
Damn.
like the western part of Ohio. Southwestern part of Ohio.
So yeah, you got to go all the way through Ohio, and then like you're still a good chunk through Pennsylvania to get.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
then
it's a
that-
3-hour drive from me to the border of Ohio, and then like it's a 4-hour drive from here to Pittsburgh. So it's
Oh yeah,
put it into perspective.
yeah, that's rough, dude. That is rough. Frick, man. Well, hey, this was awesome, dude. We'll be in touch.
Sounds good.
I love it, dude. Hey, thanks so much for being on the show, man. We'll talk soon.
Yep. See
All
ya.
right, see you, buddy. I love this shit. I love this show. Dave, thank you so much for being a part of this. This was absolutely awesome. I'm so glad you jumped in the chat and were like, I got my headphones and everything. I'm ready to go.
I'm a big boy.
Look at me all grown up. Thank you, man. I appreciate you though. Thank you, dude.
Do us a favor, man. Stroke the show again. Let us know about the podcast. Like, let folks know what they're in for. Go for it.
Absolutely. First off, shout out to Zach and Josh from Dark Horse Tackle. Like, I love those dudes to death. Like,
Those crazy
the
sons of bitches. I'm
Dude,
rocking them. I'm rocking them today.
oh yeah, dude, hell yeah. Yeah. And then and shout out to James and Eric and Scott and Troy over at Kayak City. They're going to be sponsoring my end of the podcast.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, so I'm really excited and appreciated them. But it's Brad and Matt who brought it to me. So it's called The Whole Angler. It's going to be a part of the Catch Podcast Network, which is coming. And we're going to be moving forward. I'm going to be releasing episodes on Wednesdays, but it will probably be every other Wednesday for a while. Work and life, I just can't record every week. It's just not going to happen.
No, I
But,
think that's smart.
yeah, and if people like it, we'll do more. It's going to be a little bit more in-depth interview than just what you catch and what you catch them on. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, and I'm going to have both of you on there. So,
fuck
we're
yeah,
going to have a blast for sure.
Can't wait.
it'll be
Yeah.
a good time.
I got some other stuff lined up too that's going to be real fun. So, it's going to be called The Whole Angler Wednesdays on the Catch Podcast Network. So,
One of the things, in the interview with Brad that came up, he had showed a picture, and I told him I was going to put it in the Instagram post for that. He mentioned in there, he's like, it's amazing when you're on the river. You see so much nature that doesn't really register all the time, and it strikes you as cool. He's like today I saw a bald eagle, and I was like, that's awesome, dude. And he shows me this picture, and I was like, that's a really great shot. And then it focused, and this is what I saw.
yes.
I'm like, oh Jesus, dude. So I was like, yeah, make sure to send that to me, and we'll set it up and
make that the
shit
show
happen.
cover. Make that the cover of the whole thing.
I'm like, yeah, I really could. Although he did also send me a picture of him holding the tank, so I'm going to throw that on there. But I might make that the background.
I could always make his face on
Like an
those,
Easter
then it
egg,
won't
dude. Just
be-
put it-
Then you won't get in trouble for censors.
Oh, that's true.
I could send you that picture tonight.
Okay.
In, like,
All
next
right. Let's
20
do that.
minutes. Yeah.
I like
All
that.
right.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
You boys have anything you want to just throw out there before we put a bow on this sucker?
Nah, man. Busy week coming. Probably won't have much fishy shit next week. I am going out Sunday though.
Oh.
So a week from today, that's going to be the first time I'm able to get out. But
let's see. This week is going to be pretty fishy for me. I have a wedding that I'm attending that I'm not working on Saturday. Later on in the week, I'm going to be going out quite a bit. I have let's see. So on Sunday the 25th, so next week, assuming everything works with this, I have, and I should have actually asked him before how to pronounce his last name, but I've got Michael McCamus on the show from Sack Pig.
Yes.
Yeah, Mike had sent me one of his other rats after seeing some of the content I put together fishing one of the smaller ones. And I'm going to have this on hand like during the interview to kind of show and stuff. And I'm going to get better about getting these on YouTube soon. I kind of wanted to build up a little bit of a library so that if I didn't have a video like this winter, I could just drop some of those interviews like as extra content, unedited and just totally raw, and just let them be what they are.
Yes. You know, love Michael. He's so good.
Dude, he like I'm so much looking forward to our conversation because like he gets it. Like, you want to talk about the whole angler, like
yes.
Yeah, dude, he's got, like, not only is he a great craftsman with what he's creating for baits, but he really does have a grasp for like what's happening with bass, like what triggers them, and like he's really, really dialed to this species. And I think that that's fucking awesome. We're going to have ourselves a great conversation. So that will be on next week's show, assuming that everything works out. And it should. There really shouldn't be any kind of an issue. We're actually recording that interview on the day we record all the rest of the stuff for next week's episode. So this will be pretty good. I'm stoked. John Hagen says he's off this week. It's going to get fishy. Good, John. That's very, very good. I have to judge a lot of fish this week, too. And then Zach says, he goes, yeah, me too, John. I ain't going to shower the whole week. I think I'll go fishing, too.
Yeah. That's a lot of hair.
God.
Yeah, I'm fishing with Andy on Friday, so we're going to have a good time.
Nice, dude. Little fucking wiener fingers in the hump. We got
Yeah, dude.
You're
tuned to Wiener in the Hump here on the Whole Angler Podcast.
Yes.
Nice.
No, we're disgusting. It's terrible. Guys, thank you so much for checking out the show. We've had a bunch of you guys tagging Jigs and Bigs in your fishy content that you're posting on Instagram and the stuff you're even posting on Facebook. By all means, please keep that up. We love to go and share the love and give you likes, comments, and shares on our end. And it lets, folks kind of see some of what our listeners are catching, and that's always a good thing. Big shout out to the Jig Heads. If you would like to become a jig head, go over to jigsandbigs.com. We have a button there that says join our Patreon. This winter, we are doing a major, I say this every fucking fall, really. This winter, we're doing a major update to the website. We're streamlining it significantly. The focus is going to be on, like, getting you to where you want to go with the things that work with Jigs and Bigs, which is pretty much it's going to be turning into a glorified link tree, really, for the most part. And, which isn't a bad thing. We just want all the stuff in one spot so you can go and do it all. Make it really, really nice and easy to do, including signing up for the scavenger hunt tournaments. Registration is closed for August. It closed 3 days ago. Registration for September is open now. Go ahead and what am I saying? Registration opened 3 days ago for September, with August closed a little while ago.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Go ahead and sign up and register for September. Link
Andy
is in this bio, or is in the description here. You can check all that stuff out. But we're gonna wrap things up. I have to go and hack up something. This congestion sucks. I'm going to go take a Mucinex and an edible. We'll see you guys. I hope you guys have yourself one hell of a fishy week. Big shout out to Dave for coming on the show. We got Who the Fuck is Joe Brown getting not so fishy with it this week, but we'll see you guys in 7 days for more Jigs and Bigs action. Don't go too far. We'll see you in 7 straight freaking days. Have yourselves a good one, everyone. Don't forget what we always say.
It's an ass smoke spread.